And we are live. Welcome to the Political Orphans. My name is Nico and I am your in-house conservative. To my left is Rob Ambrose, our token lefty, and together we review what's trending in the news. Our goal is simple. We want to show you that it is possible for the left and the right to get along. And if we don't, guess what? We're capable of having discussions like normal human beings, because never forget, common sense has no political affiliations. What's going on, brother?
Hey, brother, what's happening? I had a bit of an emotional roller coaster yesterday with our guest, but it all worked out. If you guys if you guys tuned in for that, because I know we promoted a little bit.
Good call.
We did have Billboard Chris on the show yesterday, but X went down for a lot of people, us included, so we couldn't actually go live. We did film it. Chris was gracious enough to come back a few hours later. It was still down, but we did actually have a really nice 2-hour chat with him. That is on our page if you want to check that out. But he's also, I think he enjoyed himself, and he said he's going to come back after he comes back from Australia. What did you think about that chat?
I like it, bro. I'm always interested in talking to people that have similar views as me, obviously.
Yeah.
But no, I like the guy. He's
cool guy, eh?
Yeah, the only difference is I tend to not be that serious. Like, as much as we speak about stuff that's very serious, I tend to like to fuck around. I like to tend to mess around.
Yeah.
And it's always interesting to see the different type of personalities, right?
Yeah, he's definitely more sort of even keel, but it certainly fits with his activism.
100%.
Yeah, and he was definitely he sent me a couple screenshots of his chat last night of some of his comments that were like, "Oh, this isn't even shows, but just 3 bald guys," and we had a bit of a laugh about that. So yeah, but yeah, it was. So go ahead.
All I was going to say is, Chris, if you're listening to this, if you're coming to Montreal, I wasn't kidding. If you need a pair of arms to protect you against Antifa bitches, I'm here. I guess I will happily serve as a wall between the little scrawny Antifa vegans and you.
I feel like you're not going to have a free hugs sign this time.
Oh, no, I'll have free hugs, but with the it will say free hugs, elbows, knees, and headbutts.
Knees and toes.
No, that's how you crack your toes, bro. So just elbows and knees. But all to say, I'm kidding somewhat. I'm not a violent person, but I don't like people being but I don't like people being violent. I don't like free violence. I think it's bullshit. So a guy like him, if people are able to destroy their neighborhood and take over streets and preventing everybody else from going, I don't see how a guy like him is problematic to people, right? Yeah. So that's my point, right? I believe in free speech before everything. I don't need to agree with you to stand up for what you're saying. And no matter what, it's always going to be my basis, right? I believe in God and I believe in free speech. Those are my 2 main things. And I don't have to like what you're talking about, especially free speech only matters with speech that you don't agree with.
Exactly, right. And we've said that before. Nobody needs to protect speech everybody likes, right? Popular speech doesn't need to be protected. So it's there's not going to give it away, but we've actually got some interesting free speech discussions on the show today.
Well, we'll start by that question, because to me, one of the videos I'm going to show kind of alludes to that. It's interesting because we're still at the beginning of this story, like the story about Mahmoud Khalil. And one of the things, I got a video about this that I found. I think it was MSNBC. It was either MSNBC or CBS that was talking about this. And they mentioned that the reason why he's been arrested had something to do with antisemitism or hate on Jew people. And that, I don't know if that's quite true yet, because I don't even think they provided. And that's a bit of my point, right? This is where I'm going with this, which is why the question at the bottom is, do you think that Trump should be able to deport people based on anti-Semitism? And to me, it's a slippery slope. So let's not. I want to show you the videos
Yeah,
first, but it
we'll
is,
do that.
man, it's, if that's true, because I'm not saying that it is true. All we know right now, we don't have enough information right
Yeah.
now as per why ICE arrested him. We don't we know why they arrested him, as in they arrested him um because of the protests, the
Yeah.
the for Palestine or anti-Israel
At
protests.
Columbia
However,
University.
exactly. But all I'm going to say, as a proponent of free speech, I'm not tribal in my political parties. I don't endorse any political parties whatsoever. Never will. I would, if I ever am in politics, it'd be as an independent. It would just be me, my values, and what I believe in. But that being said, I'm very curious to see what you guys think about
It's an interesting
anti-Semitism.
discussion.
Well,
It's got a
it's hate speech. It's hate
yeah,
speech, and it's a fucking slippery slope, because who
it's
gets
got
to define what hate speech is?
yeah, it's got a lot of angles that I think actually just make it a really perfect story to sort of
Yeah,
talk on this show about, because there's a lot of different ways you can take it and look at it. I feel like Jason's going to be interested in this topic too.
you feel you
I
and your
feel like
fucking
it.
you and your fucking feelings.
Oh Jesus,
Always in my
Jesus.
feelings. This
All
is how I
right.
feel. I feel that way, guys. It's okay, homo.
Do you know what
It's okay.
pedantic means? It
Sure.
means
Why do you care?
obsessing over like minor framings of words. I mean, that's just the way I talk.
Words
That's just how I speak. You know, I don't.
words matter. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
Bruce Lee said that you should never speak ill of yourself, because your subconscious mind does not know the difference. So words matter. Always talk about yourself in the positive. So I'm very stringent on words. Like I always make sure I use the proper ones, and if I don't, I will correct myself, because feelings means that it's not based on facts. It's based on how you feel. I'm not saying that it's incorrect, because if you're talking about personal experience, it's good, but it's hard for you to win a debate based on feelings when you're going to be debating somebody that's based on facts.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Just
I agree with you, but I'm just saying these are just my speech
I'm just
patterns.
going to
Like
chirp you, but I'm
yeah,
just going to
of
chirp you
course,
and
yeah,
chirp.
yeah, that's what it boils down to. It's
The
like
real reason is not
yeah,
because
yeah,
I
yeah,
care, really. It's just that I know it bothers you, so I
yeah.
say it.
Well,
I'm
it
like a
is funny
child, right?
because when I
If I get a reaction out of
you're
you,
just
I'll
just
continue poking
a
and
line
poking. I'm a
stepper,
child.
a
I'm just a
habitual
big
line stepper.
100%, and
Um,
I'm stepping that shit, bro.
yeah,
I'm
yeah, just
stepping it.
boop, boop.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Once I
funny
find
though.
it, once I find it,
Just go back to the well
boop,
again and again.
boop, boop.
It is
Yep.
funny because now that since we've been doing the show, obviously I watch myself talk in a
Annoying,
lot of
isn't
ways,
it?
ways I never have before. And I'm
Yes.
like, you just notice so many things about your speech pattern. You're like, for fuck's sakes, stop saying like all the time, and stuff like that.
Yep.
But I guess it's good to see that, because then you can actually, if you're aware of it, like you can kind of start to make those changes. But it takes a little while to get out of those habits.
It's not fun. To this day, I've been doing it for 4 years. I still dislike hearing my voice, seeing
I
like
know it's weird,
I'm
right?
used to it,
Yeah.
but every
I-
time I try to get rid of a filler word, you know what a filler word is?
or kind of
Uh,
thing. Yeah.
that's the
And
only thing that I
I'm so bad for
appreciate
it.
about most people. Most people are, because they're not aware that they're doing it, and this
Yeah.
is one of the things that most politicians are very good at avoiding.
Yeah.
And I studied a lot of politicians. As much as I dislike Obama, he is a phenomenal orator. Same with Bill Clinton. I got to see Bill Clinton live years ago,
Yep.
and that's probably a dick I would have sucked. Although I don't agree, I really don't agree with his
That's your one
politics.
that's your one dick. Or I guess French guys get a couple dicks, right? It's only the Anglos that just get one. It's not gay if you're French.
No, it's just, it is what it is, right?
It's just French being French, Frenchies being Frenchies.
So Jason's already going at it, so
Yeah.
we'll go through a couple of comments. Hey, what's going on, brother? By the way, Jason, what's going on?
Yes.
No one wants a free hug from Khabib. You know who Khabib is, right? He's one of the best fighters. That I think he fought at 155. He might in the UFC, either 155, 145.
Do you look like him?
No, it's just that nobody wants to be hugged by a
Okay.
wrestler. Like he's
Oh, I
one of
see what you're
those
saying. Yeah.
Russian wrestlers. He was unstoppable. Not very good striking. His striking was garbage, but he'd take you to the ground and fucking jerk you off for literally 5 rounds. So yeah,
Yeah, but
he's right.
how's his
No,
fighting ability though?
oh, he's a hugger, but he's a wrestler. So Jason's also saying that the answer is no. I would imagine that's
Yeah.
regarding the question that I asked. He's saying that the answer is no. In the US, hate speech is protected. Even the ALCU went to the Supreme Court to defend Nazi free speech. As long as you are not violent, this is the American way. And I cannot agree with you more, man.
So
I cannot agree with you more. But that is, and you know, this is going to be interesting to see how it develops, because I would imagine that ICE is not gonna release him. They're gonna try to explain why they did it,
mhm.
and and I could see them going down that path, saying he said those and they led to violent protests, because
Yeah, that's a slippery
they
slope. I
did
get that.
they did become they weren't they some of them were non-violent protests, they were peaceful, but some of them weren't. And if I'm not mistaken, Colombia, at one point they did destroy some of Colombia's properties. I'm pretty sure it was there. Don't quote me on this, but I am pretty sure that some of the Free Palestine protests that took care of Colombia ended up breaking into buildings that belong to Colombia. So at the same time, I agree. I totally agree that free speech should be protected no matter what. But where do you draw the line? And this is the problem. This is the slippery slope that kind of scares the shit out of me, because let's say you look at what's going on in Canada. Although we don't have free speech, now that Mark Carney has been elected, that guy's a break. He already spoke in the past to cancel X, cancel other social media platforms. So you know that he is not a proponent of free speech. So what does that mean for us that's talking about this? And when I go back to Canada, I want to start being extremely vocal about Canadian politics. So, you know, we're going to talk about this today, because I want to talk about something that actually Jason sent me. We're going to call it debanking, which, if you don't know what it
Yeah.
is, I got to tell you, this is an intro to debanking, because I've watched so much video this morning, and god damn, there's a lot of information about this. But it is, man, where, well, okay, you know what? I'll show what Jason is showing you here, because he's basically going along what I'm saying. So the line is drawn when you commit a crime. Vandalism is a crime. Breaking and entering is a crime. Assault is a crime. And as part of those Free Palestine protests, I've seen the three of them. I've seen violence against Jews. I've seen breaking and entering, and I've seen vandalism. So this is the
So
thing, right? And we're not talking about an American either. Let's make that very clear. That guy is
well,
here,
that's
is here on a green card. He's
that's what.
not an American. So
Yeah.
does free speech apply to a non-American? That's another fucking question that we would have to have a free speech lawyer to confirm it to us, but I
So
don't know that it does or it doesn't.
yeah, exactly. So that's kind of the addendum I wanted to add on to that. Like, because I agree with everything Jason says here for sure for citizens. However, and I would also agree, green card members, I don't think he should be charged with a crime. However, he's a guest in the country. We're not talking about charging with a crime. We're talking about, okay, you have the right to say that. We're not going to put you in jail, but we have the right to revoke your guest status in this country. Now get the fuck out. And that makes it a little, for me, it's not quite as black and white. If he's a citizen, I'm yeah, say whatever you want, unless you're committing actual crimes. The green card thing makes it a little more of a, and again, why I think it's an interesting discussion for the show.
One of the things I want to mention, and I'm just thinking about this right now. I don't know why I didn't think about this when I was researching earlier, but you know, the interesting part about this is January 6th, how the Democrats wanted to impeach Trump, because he never said that he condoned the violence. All he said is, as per what they were concerned, he didn't try to stop it enough
Didn't
in
try hard
their
enough.
taste. So basically, they should agree with this guy being deported if he talked about he was the main voice at Columbia University about the Free Palestine protests, and those protests ended up being violent. So basically, why are they complaining about Trump and January 6th, but they're not happy about this? Be constant. Because if his speech is shown to have caused destruction, crimes, just like they claim that Trump did. What's the difference here? Why are they outraged by this guy's actions, yet they're outraged by ICE's actions, yet they went after Trump trying to have him removed from office because they didn't agree with his speech? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a very fucking slippery slope, and that's always the part that bothers me about the left and about the right.
You got
Now, the left, 100%. And right now, what I'm seeing, I don't like. You know what? Let's start with the first video, because that's where I got the anti-Semitism from, and that bothered me.
Yeah, that bothers me, and I'm broadly okay with what they did, at least. But if they did it because of anti-Semitism, and I'm strongly opposed to anti-Semitism. I just don't think that. I just want to live in a society where people can say offensive things, and everyone 100%. Else can take what they want from that.
So here is just give me a second, because I cannot find. You sent me a really good video this morning about the NGO, Ngo, the guy. I tried to have him on my show. He's never responded to me, actually.
And Andy and NGO. I don't know how to pronounce that.
NGO.
I'm not even gonna try.
But all to say, I tried to have him on my show in the past. I've approached that guy.
He's a pretty big account.
No, not
no.
Not really.
It seems like the kind of guy that gets a lot of requests.
But
it would be a get for sure.
He probably doesn't look at how do you call it, all of his messages. Because that's the thing, right?
What I mean,
you need to be but it's not everybody that does. Like, even though I have about 200,000 accounts, I'm always looking at messages. I go in the junk folders. Because I like to if my followers or people that don't like me actually are going to take the time to write me, I will always make sure to give them the time of day.
And
because that's how I've met great people. They approached me, we weren't following each other, and we ended up recording content together. So I just need to download this, because I really thought I had downloaded.
No
so
worries.
Read that, and I'll download this at the same time.
Yeah, all good. So Jason says, gotta love the word insurrection. Imagine that. A bunch of 2A gun nuts plan to storm the Capitol and forget their guns. And what no one is repeating. Trump was never charged. Jason's got to have the most confusing political takes. If you look at if you look through the perspective of the right left spectrum, you just can't place him anywhere.
Nope. Well, you can place him one place. One thing that I gotta give him, he's very, very common ground. He's very common sense.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's why Jason and I get along, because he is very common sense.
And what I like is that you can see he's got his values, and then he just applies them to situations. He doesn't just. And I think it's interesting when you have people like that who sort of will take some things from the left, some things from the right, because it suggests that they have their own sort of values or ethics or moral code, and they just apply it. Whereas a lot of people just seem to be like tribal, right? I'm on the left. This is what the left believes. This is what I believe, or vice versa.
And we are in the mess in which we find ourselves right now because of tribalism. Absolutely. Because there's not enough people like me on the right that are going to call what Trump is doing. And then there's not enough people on the left that will call what the left is doing. Because it's easy for me to call out the left, right? But I need to be able to do the same with the people that, because if you gave me a two-system political party system and I had to vote between Kamala Harris and Trump, I would have voted for Trump. That does not mean I support everything he does. And that does not mean I'm not going to call all the bullshit that he does that I don't agree with. And today you'll see exactly what I mean. Yeah. But we need more. Well, we need more of this, right?
We were talking about that this morning, where, you know, I think that's a strength of the show, that for the most part, the conservative is the one who's criticizing the right, and the lefty is the one who's criticizing the left. Because like you said, it's very easy to criticize the other side, and that doesn't move the needle at all.
No. So I got the video. So I did find the video you sent me this morning. Okay. So I just downloaded it again. I just wanted to make sure to have the 3 ones, because there's definitely 3 I wanted to show on this subject. So I'm gonna
this will be one
start.
of those. Sorry, go ahead.
No, but the one I want to start with is a longer one. It's about 4 minutes long, but
Yep.
it touches on everything. Like it touches about who that guy supposedly is.
Okay.
So I have a bunch of videos about this guy. And you know what? Let me start with the first one. It's short. We'll just let it run. Okay, take that comment
I'll
and
just
then we'll
take
go.
this comment here from Steven.
Yep.
Steven says,
What's
yes,
going
that's
on,
why.
Steven, by the way?
Yeah, great to see you.
Thank-
That's why hate speech laws are so dangerous. They take advantage of people's good intentions and weaponize them to enable the government to control discourse and make it harder to challenge because people just accuse you of supporting whatever ist or phobia, racist, transphobe. We all know what they are. Yeah, exactly. Couldn't agree more, Steven. That's an excellent comment.
God damn, Steven is always on point.
Yeah, he's on point for sure. We have a high IQ followers for sure.
Yeah, it's surprising
except for
that you
Jason.
attract
I think he was dropped on his head. I think when he was young.
So let's
But
start with the first one.
Good kid, tries hard.
So let's start with this one. It kind of gives you a tiny bit of the backstory.
A well-known Palestinian activist at Columbia University was arrested by ICE agents on Saturday. Mahmoud Khalil is the first person facing deportation under President Trump's crackdown on pro-Palestinian campus activists, who the administration has likened to terror sympathizers.
Our main demand, which is divestment from the Israeli occupation, there's an impasse in that.
Khalil, a lawful permanent resident with a green card, had not been charged with any crime when he was taken into custody by ICE agents at his university-owned home near Columbia. Agents initially claimed to be acting on a State Department order to revoke his student visa. But when informed by Khalil's attorney that he was a permanent resident with a green card, they said they would revoke that documentation instead. The ICE agents also threatened to arrest his wife, an American citizen who was 8 months pregnant, according to Khalil's attorney. Khalil and other student leaders have rejected claims of anti-Semitism, saying they are part of a broader anti-war movement that also counts Jewish students and groups among its members. He's currently being held in a Louisiana detention center with no clear timeline for a hearing. Khalil was one of the most visible activists in last year's protests, serving as a negotiator for students who erected a tent encampment on campus. Pro-Israel activists in recent weeks have called on the Trump administration to begin deportations against him and other protesters, who they say fueled a climate of anti-Semitism on campus.
So, as you guys, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but I always try to find videos on both sides of the spectrum, like to find what the left is saying, what the right is saying. Obviously, now they're just appeasing to the feelings like they had. A lot of that stuff is based on nothing about what they said. And did you see how they never mentioned that Columbia protests were violent at a certain point? So
yeah.
I always love how that works, right?
It was
the guy's hair is so greasy as fuck that the wind's not even moving it. Did you notice that? The guy that was speaking, no, but the AP News speaker, all over the place. That
we're not big on hygiene, though. These people on the far left. I mean, a few things sort of stood out to me. Like one was the part where it's kind of what I was saying a few minutes ago. He's a guest. He's got a green card. There are just rules that are going to apply. When my 16-year-old son comes over and he puts his feet up on his dirty feet on the coffee table, I might say, get your feet off the coffee table, but I don't say get out of the house. If I had a guest in my house who came in and did the same thing, I might revoke my invitation into the house. You're a citizen. You belong here. You're going to get certain privileges that you don't if you're a guest. And the thing that stood out to me was how he's the most high-profile protester. Well, yeah, I mean, maybe that was a bad idea. Maybe if you're a guest in someone's house, you shouldn't go around stirring up shit. No, it's not illegal, for sure. And I would be the first to take to the streets or what have you if he was arrested. But they have every right to take away rescind his welcome in the country. And once that happens, I mean, it's not about charging him with a crime. It's you're no longer welcome here. Get the fuck out.
So one of the things I wanted to see is, and that's what I'm looking at right now, is just, man, this is so hard to find when this happens because now it's breaking up. It's breaking out everywhere, right? Everybody's talking about Mahmoud Khalil. Yeah. So I can't, all the posts are not going back to, see, there you go. Colombia's violence against protesters. So basically what they're saying is that there were violence, but everybody's accusing the police to be violent. But I remember that
these people are liars too.
No, but
it's important to keep that in mind.
hold on, but this is what I was looking at. There you go.
Okay.
So it was at Columbia University where there was a pro-Palestine protest that actually occupied. See, I love how they're saying that. There was a let me read what Reuters was saying, which is very left-leaning, right? After the arrest of pro-Palestine students, protesters occupying a Columbia University building last month. Fuck you. They went in, they really destroyed the windows, they destroyed the door, they broke into that building. So it's exactly where I thought. So basically, remember this, guys. If this is the main, and even the left is saying that, it is the main voice for Columbia University. So basically, ICE will be able to make the case that what he said led to violence because there was violence on campus. And I remember that Mayor Adams, which is a massive leftist back then, actually sent the police to say, hey, we need to stop this shit.
Yeah.
And they found anti-Semitism flyers. They were talking against the Jews. Now, I'm not saying that that's okay. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, I'm just stating what happens. But it's funny because AP News is not mentioning any of this. And even that article from Reuters is basically New York City said no injuries at Columbia arrest. Students' medical records says otherwise. You see how those fuckers are always spinning this shit? They're never going to call
pushing the narrative. They will always protect the left-wing narrative. And that's something as 100%. A liberal, as a lefty, I've had my eyes opened in the last couple of years too. And once you see it, you can't unsee it, right?
No.
Just to get a couple of these comments. Oh, you got it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Steven, before we play the next video, because the next video is 4 minutes long, but it talks in a lot more detail. I just wanted to present to people who that guy was. Nothing turns you base like living in Ontario. Yeah. Well, I've lived there for years, so I feel you, man. Joe, what's going on? Joe Stradamus. Yeah, what's going on?
Suburb of Toronto. I think he's commenting on Stevens. He's just going,
What's cool is this, because if this is Columbia, I thought they already divested. They did, but that is not.
That shows that they don't actually. If their demands are met, they'll just make more. It's not about their demands; it's about power for these people.
Jason's also saying that his profile has a track record of having university divest in investment and funding from Israel. Dartmouth and other universities have already done it. This man is an enemy of AIPAC or APAC.
That can be true for sure. And that doesn't, like one thing I think that I haven't heard too much of, but is also relevant is the Patriot Act explicitly gave the president permission to strip green cards of any foreigners coming in and providing support to terrorist organizations. So I guess there's a little bit of a dicey thing. You could say, well, he wasn't supporting Hamas. He was supporting Palestine. But if he said or did anything in support of Hamas, that's it. Get the fuck out, because Hamas is officially designated as a terrorist organization. So that's another.
But even more than that, it's if the left is going to be attacking Donald Trump for January 6th when he had no parts of it because he wasn't. He didn't do enough as per their opinion. If that guy, even right now as we speak, he was the main guy at Columbia University, and they were crimes committed as part of their protests. Right then and there, brother. Bye-bye. So agree with it or not, bro. Be constant. Don't fucking play that game, because
you either hold leaders accountable or you
100%. 100%. So let's play the next one because the comments are going. Man, I fucking love you guys' comment. Thank you for commenting that much. So let me play the next one. No, we'll play this one because I guarantee you they're gonna have more after this. So So let's see that.
Blocked the deportation of a Palestinian activist and Columbia University graduate who was arrested by federal immigration agents in New York Saturday. Attorneys representing Mahmoud Khalil have filed a motion as well to transfer him back to New York after he was sent to an ICE processing center in Louisiana. The Department of Homeland Security says Khalil was arrested for violating President Trump's executive order banning anti-Semitism. Khalil, who helped lead.
See the face that you made? The face that you made there is the same. Up to now, I'm like, yeah, okay, makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you know what? If you're going to deport somebody, send him through Louisiana if he comes from New York.
I wish it just
that to me.
Foreigners can't agitate in our country, right? Like, we're not going to
But-
arrest you. We're not going to disappear you in the middle of the night, but we will rescind your welcome in this country. I mean, I don't have any issues with that. Free speech doesn't mean consequence-free speech.
Nope, you're absolutely right. But I'm going to replay that part because that's the part that kind of, and I don't know if this is true. It's still CBS after all.
Yeah.
But I'm going to keep an eye on this one, just like, because I want to talk about Derek Chauvin, the guy that air quote killed George Floyd. This is something I've been speaking about for years. Ever since it happened, I've been speaking about it. And this is one of those that I will follow every day to see if there's an update. But this part I don't like. I hope it's just CBS talking shit because they don't know, because I did not find that anywhere else. But if it's true, I don't like it.
President Trump's executive order banning anti-Semitism. Khalil, who
I agree. I don't like that.
That's hate speech.
If that's what they're going to go with, I feel like this story is going to develop, right? It's one of those stories. If that's what they end up on, I don't like it.
You and I both, bro.
Who helped lead pro-Palestinian protest at Columbia last year, has not been formally charged with a crime and is a permanent resident with a green card. The president took to Truth Social Monday and said Khalil's arrest was the first of many to come. CBS News correspondent Lily Luciano has been following this for us. So, Lily, what do we know about what led to the judge's decision to block his deportation?
So what we know is that Khalil's attorneys have, of course, filed a petition to fight that deportation. We know, according to multiple legal experts, attorneys, immigration attorneys I've talked to throughout the day today and starting yesterday, that this is extremely unprecedented. The government has not provided evidence that Khalil was in any way cooperating, working with Hamas, and I have not seen any statement that the government is alleging that he made in support of Hamas. Even I've talked to multiple students, faculty members who are all very concerned about this being a violation of freedom of speech. There is certainly, I spent the day today in Columbia at Columbia University, there's certainly a chilling effect. Technically speaking, what I know about this order.
So I'm going to stop her right now because she's talking about stuff that to me really doesn't matter. Again, I'm going to get back to this. This is the third time I say it. I'm going to say it again. He does not need to support Hamas in order to get deported from wherever he came from, because at the end of the day, if you're going to hold Trump responsible for January 6th, that guy needs to be held responsible for the violence that happened on Columbia University. Stop your fucking bullshit and your pandering to your crowd and be honest. If Trump did something wrong, this guy did something wrong because he was the main face of the protest, and there was violence against Jews and there was violence against property of Columbia University to a point where a very leftist mayor in Eric Adams wanted those protests to be done. So the left did not want that shit to continue. So don't give me that shit that he's a victim. Like, should this go to court? Yes, and I'd love to see it. You know why? Because that's gonna strike fear in some of the people that think that they can go around and destroy property there and not have any consequences for their actions. Because there's been a lot of protests under Biden/Harris, like in Minnesota, where they fucking destroyed entire neighborhoods, where they took over a block. Do you remember that when BLM/Free Palestine took over a fucking city block? Exactly.
We were all locked down.
That was okay. So this to me, if that's the case, if this is what happened, you know what, bro? Sorry, not sorry. But this cannot be on the basis of hate speech. No. That I'm not okay with. That is something that I don't, fuck that shit. That guy can say whatever the fuck he wants, but maybe I'm wrong, because if he is on a green card, does free speech even apply to him? That's the part I don't know.
Yeah, that's the wrinkle. That's where all the debate lies. And I agree with you. You got to be consistent. You can't have it both ways. But what I laughed at when I was listening to her is, and it just shows you, I love pointing out sort of how media shapes narrative, because it's not always obvious, right? But she's like, now there's no evidence that he even ever said signs or showed signs of support for Hamas. We asked, other protesters and faculty, and they said they never heard it. And then the next sentence they say, and they're very concerned that, basically saying, so they're his allies. Do you expect his allies to be telling the media, oh yeah, he supports Hamas? Like, sending him money. It's like, it's just ridiculous. But they'll play that as if it's fact. Now it's fact that he's never supported Hamas.
Now, before I go to the comments, I just want to say this. So green card holders, also known as permanent residents, are generally protected by the First Amendment, which guarantees freedom of speech. However, there are some limitations. For instance, if a green card holder's speech is deemed to be in support of a terrorist organization.
So we're right back to square one.
As Hamas. No, but you know what I'm saying? This is why the right is pointing this out, because they know they're not stupid. Neither side are stupid, right? But they're pointing that out because they know that if they can prove that he supported Hamas, he's gone. But
That's
as I said, I don't think it needs to go there. If I was the person taking responsibility, I would just say to the left, bro, you guys were okay with trying to indict Trump on what he said or did not say for January 6th, but you don't want him to be deported for the same fucking reason that you accused Trump of something. Be consistent. Be consistent. That's all I'm asking.
Yep. And Jason here said basically what you were just saying there about green cards and visas. So green card, I actually didn't know that. He's essentially got more or less the same protections as a U.S. citizen, even though they're not. So the deportation will not hold up in court. But as Nico just said, there is that big asterisk there, because that's essentially, I suspect, this whole thing is going to hinge on that. Can it be proved that he supported Hamas or not? The anti-Semitism thing, we both agree, we do not like that.
100%. But I want to see this. I don't want to say that I'm happy that it got blocked, but I'm kind of happy that it got blocked because we're going to get to see this go to court. I want to see what are the reasons that ICE and the government will use.
Well, that's the process,
to
right?
try to but I'm very interested because for years I got censored by the left, still am right now, but the point is, for years I got censored because of hate speech. And in Canada, hate speech is a thing. You can go to prison for hate speech. But now the US has to face their own hypocrisy. Yeah. And this is why I'm very interested in seeing, will the right try to use the same tools that the left has used on them for years, or will they follow the Constitution and do what's right and just go by the rule of law, not by public opinions or revenge? I don't want to see revenge for the past 4 years. As much as it's easy to want to have revenge on the people that fucked you for years, this is not what it's supposed to be. It should not be about revenge. If indeed, yeah, but that I'm not okay with. This is child play. I don't want to go down that road. But at the same time, the left is very good at kind of making it all about feelings and kind of hiding the agenda. Like, none of the 2 videos you've seen have actually mentioned that he was the head of a movement that had become violent.
Well, that's how the fake news is not just what the media reports, but it's also what they don't report, right? What they choose, what they avoid. So let's get at some of these comments because we're getting a bit of a backlog. Joe Stradamus, anyone notice a parallel between how anti-Semitism opportunistically hijacks legitimate criticisms of policies of a far-right dictator in the Middle East, and how the trans cult hijacked legitimate concerns of normal LGBT folks? I think legitimate of a far-right. So I assume you're talking about anti-Semitism opportunistically hijacks criticism of Netanyahu, and how the trans cult. Yeah, I mean, I think they're all taking the same page out of the same playbook. Whatever side or angle or issue you want to apply it to, it's all the same. If usually if you're in the wrong, you don't want debate. You want to shut it down however you can, and you do that by inserting identity politics into it, by bad faith accusations of transphobia, anti-Semitism. Go ahead.
It's always the same thing, right? The woke. There's such a thing as the woke right.
Yeah,
we're gonna call them differently. And at the same time, they might not have the same ideologies, but they use the same tactics in order to press what they believe is important. And I'm not saying that Netanyahu is a terrorist or he's a dictator. I'm not saying that. I don't give a fuck personally what goes on in Palestine, Gaza, Ukraine. To me, fucking shut that shit down. Does not impact me in the slightest on my day-to-day base. And I don't say I don't give a fuck. Like it's not right that people are dying.
It doesn't affect
but
you.
it
I get what you're saying.
on the day-to-day, I'm not an expert in it,
Yep.
nor do I want to be. I'd rather take care of our own before we get involved in other people's bullshit. But all to say that if you meant that the tactics from the far right and the far left are the same, but their ideology are different, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, and that's the important thing, and that's what, you know, Nico and I will talk about the woke right, and that's what we mean. We obviously the issues are different. It's the tactics that we're talking about. Stephen, yeah, gay people, women, and Jews are the perpetual pawns, always thrown in the trash when convenient. And 100%. You know, we talk a lot about like the hierarchy of oppression in the woke worldview, and you've got the sacred cows at the top, right? You've got trans, Muslims, that kind of thing. They can never be wrong. Women, Jews, gay people, they're kind of in the middle, where sometimes they'll be useful and they'll and other times they'll be thrown under the bus. It just depends on how high the ranking of the opponent is. But yeah, it is convenient. And it's very, very much how the left operates. Jason, yeah, Semite. A member of any of the people who speak, or he's given a description or a definition of the word Semite, a member of any of the peoples who speak a Semitic language, including the Jews and Arabs. Leave it to the Demo Crips and Rebloodlikins to hijack yet another term. And he's
wokeism,
also referring
wokeism, Jason. Wokeism.
Yeah, it's because every time we use that, he's like, "That's not what it means, bro." It's
woke,
what it means.
woke.
Yeah, it's what it means. Khalil has a green card. Oh, we already did that one. Jason agrees with you, Nico. What the media tells you and what you say under oath in court are two different things. Forget Trump for a minute. Trump was never even charged with insurrection. My argument is that we determined that Nazis have a right to protest, and we have. Can they not do the same outside of breaking the law? Yeah,
100%. I couldn't agree more. All I'm saying is those protests, the Free Palestine protests, a lot of the BLM protests, a lot of the Antifa protests became violent, yet those people were never really held accountable for their actions. And not only did they protest, they did it in states and cities during lockdown,
man,
where they weren't allowed to be 6 feet from each other. And not only that, but you had fucking politicians from the left that were part of those same protests.
And they literally said...
The same assholes that put the lockdowns in place didn't respect them. Like,
talk about discrediting yourself. I can remember, in all seriousness, back then they said, "Well, it's okay because racism is a public health crisis too." Well, maybe, but like compared to a virus, like we're talking about a fucking actual real thing here, a virus, and that you just it became so clear then in that moment that. You know, they'll use these things when it suits them and throw them away when it doesn't.
And that's always my problem.
Completely,
it's always my problem. Always will be. If you're gonna say something, 100%.
Yeah.
Now, we could not leave this issue without presenting a Scott Jennings video on this.
Yes.
And it was sent by the lefty of this show. It wasn't even me. But I'm very happy that Rob sent this to me. So I'm
starting to like Scott too. I do like Scott.
I like what he does. He's always the conservative guy on their panel, and he always goes against emotions. Did you notice? He's always he provokes.
No issue.
Yeah. So let's see what Scott Jennings had to say about this.
Resident alien, he can be deported under U.S. law for. If the Secretary of State has any reasonable ground to believe he would have a potentially serious adverse foreign policy consequence. And you mentioned the student organization. The student organization put out... Let me finish.
But before you move on, because I think that's a really important point, right? That's the statute that they're using.
Yeah.
Have you seen any evidence to suggest that there is actually a serious reason to believe that this student is going to be a threat to to national security?
I mean, I've certainly watched the abomination that's gone on at Columbia and Barnard and other places, and I will just tell you,
to national security.
And I'll just tell you that
I'm not going to let you move on because this is the
I'll tell you why it's a threat to national security if you let me answer you.
Well, Scott,
do you want me to answer you or not?
Okay.
His organization says we are dedicated fighting for the total eradication of Western civilization. He's not a citizen. He doesn't need to be here.
I don't want to. You just described him having viewpoints that you disagree with. Again, is that enough to have someone lose their rights in this country?
He has viewpoints that, in my opinion, jeopardize the security of the United States.
But how?
He is obviously a radical who is here.
They're trying so hard to not understand.
No, but they're doing it on purpose. But yet, it's a shame that's Scott Jennings. You know, it's easy for me to do that from having time. I had time to research it. I had time to think about it. Yes. I didn't watch that video. You just told me, hey, you want to show Scott Jennings video? I'm like, fuck yes. I don't even need to see it to know it's gonna be good. But it's a shame that Scott Jennings did not remember. At least I don't know if he's going to talk about it later. But that guy, if he's the face of Colombia Free Palestine protests, and there was violence that happened, he could be held responsible for this, right? So
this is what he's referring to. This is the Mahmoud. This is the organization that I don't know if he leads it, but he's a part of. They are like overtly, like self-declared, fighting for the total eradication of Western civilization. We don't need guests like that in our country. Nope. Like, yeah, like I don't care. Like for her to act like, but can you say there's a reasonable national security threat based on that? All that, like based on what we just saw, yes, it is. It doesn't mean it's a for sure security threat. But that wasn't the wording used. It was a reasonable assumption.
Yep.
That's a reasonable assumption to read that and say it's reasonable he might be a national security threat.
Plus, he was the head of the movement, and there was violence on campus. So it does not look good for this guy. Like Mahmoud might be going back home. Like let's see what else. I like Scott Jennings, so we'll finish.
Destroy Western civilization against the United States government.
You're saying eradicate Western civilization doesn't make you a radical?
Has he acted in any way that is violence against?
Has he actually eradicated Western civilization?
No, but hold on. Eradicating something, does it make you a radical? It's part of the word, bitch.
Exactly. Right?
Like, seriously?
Yeah.
Okay,
so he supports the eradication of Western civilization, but has he done it? Like, come the fuck on.
But is he a radical? It's in the word. Like,
I think these protests and the violence they have fomented and the intimidation and fear against the Jewish kids on these campuses is absolutely an act of insurrection against the United States.
I don't think the American speech, Scott. That's enough.
Look, look, what they have engaged in is a clear threat to the United States. And if you want the United States to be overrun by radicals the way Europe has, be my guest. But I think the president needs to stand up for the integrity of the United States.
What is the threat?
The threat of our country being and our college campuses being overrun.
Why is she pretending like it's not a threat? People who want to
eradicate. Yes, they are. In UCLA. In UCLA.
First of all,
they wouldn't even let them go to class.
First of all,
Columbia is an abomination.
First of all, there were violent counter protests at UCLA that were done by Jewish organizations.
No, both sides.
That's
anti-Semitism is a scourge on this country. Do not.
So you know what? I'm going to stop it right here because this is just going to turn into a left versus right. And they never, it's easy for 5 people to gang up on Scott Jennings and none of them ever let him speak properly because every time they do, they look fucking retarded.
Oh yeah.
Like they look absolutely ridiculous.
They look
stupid.
They look stupid there. Like stop insulting your audience's intelligence. If someone is belonging to an organization with the officially stated goal of eradicating Western civilization, it does not matter if they've actually done that goal. You know exactly. If you're a citizen, sure. You know, like that's your right. If you're a guest in the country, sorry, like you probably shouldn't be doing those things.
So people are talking to each other. I love it. I love when people are talking.
You
people, Jason, you people.
Oh, you people.
People. So Jason's saying people conflate criticism of Israel with criticism of Jews. By Israel's
100%.
own admission, there are not a one religion state. So it is not anti-Semitism to criticize Israel. And I agree.
You can't conflate criticizing Israel's policies as a country with anti-Semitism, and some people do that, like intentionally. That's bad faith. Like people on the right will often, and they know what they're doing, and it's wrong.
I don't underestimate people. I think people are a lot smarter than we want to believe, so they know what they're doing. So Joe's saying yup, so I guess he agrees with Jason. BLM is a joke. As a black man, I speak for many when I say that the idea was noble and all they did was hurt the cause. Couldn't agree with. They hurt the cause and made a shit ton of money too. Don't forget that.
That's the story of almost all progressive movements right now, though. You know, they were all necessary at one point.
Scott be knocking people F the fuck out 5-on-1, and he
even
still
when
doesn't
they were
give a
attacking him there, he still came out looking better.
But you know why he doesn't give a fuck? Because he's right. You can't argue with somebody that's right with your emotions, and that's all those people. Man, again, Jesus, I'm racist. Those people are doing because they were a black. They were a black guy and a black woman. That's what I'm saying.
But I mean, yeah, that's just that's funny though.
Yep. You want to read that?
Yeah, projecto ad absurdum. It's Latin, I believe. It's just like the projection of the absurd, and you can correct me.
That's exactly what I think. I think you're bang on because that's what I'm pretty sure that's what it means. Yeah.
Jason, what was the source on that quote? I'm not. It's from his organization's like official sort of manifesto or what have you. It's called CUA. I don't know what that is. CUAPAR. Is that a union or something? The divest, whatever that is. But this is. I don't think there's any debate that this is from his organization. I think that's. I believe that's just like an accepted fact. Joe Stradamus. Best way to kill an idea is to drive it. You go ahead.
I don't know. Go for it, man.
Yeah, drive it to an absurd extreme. This is the driving force in politics for the almost 20 years. Yeah, I mean,
I agree.
One of the the reason why we're political orphans, both me and Nico, is just it's the politicians, right? They've essentially created a nonsense culture wars, like a never-ending culture wars, and we're trying to get back to a place where we're actually discussing the issues. She's so condescending.
Hold on, not only the politicians, but the media, both left and right. They're creating that tribalism that it's not.
And in fact, you expect it from the politicians, to be honest.
Of course, that's how they get reelected.
Yeah.
Steven is saying that she's so condescending. Oh my God. Yes, she fucking is condescending. That woman drives me nuts. Like that. I don't know who the name of the host is, but she is so annoying with that. Like, she always talks down to people she doesn't agree with, yet Scott Jennings makes her look stupid time and time and time again.
So Jason says she has a legit question. When Jen used words overrun the United States, he had to be more explicit. Could we go back to like the first 5 to 10 seconds of that? Because I'd like to see what the wording was used when it said reasonable.
Is that it is not clear that this particular.
You have to remind me where that is because the video is like 5 minutes.
I believe
long.
it's just in the first 10, 15 seconds where Jennings says he has the right to revoke it if he has a reasonable suspicion of, and I'm curious to what the. Yeah, just go back.
Let's just remove that. And
he's a resident alien. He can be deported under U.S. law for if the Secretary of State has any reasonable ground to believe he would have a potentially serious adverse foreign policy consequence. And you mentioned the student organization.
Yeah, it's not overrun the United States. It's adverse foreign policy, and then that's vague enough. And I'm sure it was written to be vague enough that it can apply to almost anything. I think it can apply here.
It seems like Joe and Jason are having a
powwow.
Balls
your one dick, fellas.
They seem to like each other, so hopefully not too much of eye contact is going on there. Kill every last one. Jeebus. 100% he needs to be ejected. What more evidence to the left does the left require? Who's paying?
She's being an idiot.
She's pushing the message. That's what at the end of the day, that's the message that CNN's been pushing for years. So what else are they going to do? Like,
she's pretending to be an idiot.
Yeah, 100%. But and she's probably going to call that playing devil's advocate, but there's a massive difference between playing devil's advocate and being an idiot. But
yeah, that's right.
I have another video later on to speak about Derek Chauvin, and it's MSNBC. It's the group that replaced Joy Reid, and you'll see that instead of having one Joy Reid, we have 3 of them now.
Oh,
it's no fun. Oh, bro, yeah. And Jason is asking me, what do I say about you people? I'm having Tropic Thunder flashbacks. I'm a white Christian, bro. You know exactly what I'm saying when I'm saying you people. You fucking people.
And-
You people never seem to understand.
and just before we go on to the next video, I just want to kind of circle back to something you just said a second ago when we were kind of like ripping on that host for, you know, pretending to be an idiot. And that's how these people hijack the debates, because at the end of the day, a lot of these debates, they're nuanced and they require context, and you have to agree on what a reasonable person will assume in a given case. And if you want to just sit there and pretend that something that is very reasonable is not, it just poisons the entire debate. You can't have a debate. Like, that's what good faith means, right? Where even if it means it's against your argument, you say, yeah, you know what? A reasonable person would probably think that that's the case. And I think a reasonable person would say that an organization that has a stated goal of eradicating Western civilization is a potential national security risk. I think that's a reasonable position.
We'll leave it on that for Mahmoud Khalil, because it's going to come back. Like, this is one of those topics that I'm very much looking forward to what's going to go on, because, man, if that goes through and he's deported, Trump has said that was just the beginning, that he's going to go after a bunch of those. And you know what? If under the law it is legit what they're doing, which right now it seems like it is, that to me is about time. If they can prove what he did, if he does have that type of speech, because, man, there's a lot of protesters during the Free Palestine movement that were calling from the river to the sea. And if people don't understand what it means, that means let's eradicate Israel.
Called violence.
This right there, you're talking. And if we agree that Israel is not a one religious state, meaning that they're not just Jews that lives in Israel, that means that there's Muslims, there's Christians, there's Jews, there's people. So you're literally asking to remove a whole country, not based on their religion, but based on where they're located, bro. Like,
and
now
I don't even think that chant really refers to moving them. I think it just refers to killing
it's
them.
Eradicating them. It's removing them. And I've heard that speech
in that context. Yes.
I've heard that speech in the US. I've heard that speech last when I was in Montreal. People were asking for river to the sea. And I'm just like, can you imagine if I went as a white guy, let's kill all black people. Let's remove them from whatever place. You know what? There's a lot of black guys in Alabama. Fuck it.
From the Great Lakes to the Atlantic, right?
From Louisiana to Georgia.
Yeah, everyone's
that's
gone.
That's what our speech is now. A bunch of white guys from Louisiana to Georgia, from Louisiana to Georgia.
That's right.
It makes no sense, but because it's them, because they're students, because they're talking about something that's going on overseas, and we don't have the right to question them, it's okay. But you're literally asking to eradicate people, and it's not even. Again, if it's not anti-Semitism to speak against Israel, not Jewish people, Israel, because it is not a one-state religion, that means that calling for eradication, you're not even talking about Jews at this point. You're talking about Muslims, Christians, and Jews. So, listen, it's going to be very fucking interesting.
I believe what happens 15 or 20% is Arabs in Israel. They're Israeli Arabs. And interestingly, the vast majority of them are strong Israel supporters. So, I mean, you know, it's funny.
Israel is one of the only place where those three religions live in the same area, the same country.
Isn't that
crazy? They actually seem to get along. Because I got friends that come from Israel. They were raised. They spent most of their lives there. And as much as they're Israeli, they're Jews.
Yeah,
they didn't care that I was a Christian. They didn't care that there's Muslim. Like,
they wouldn't care if you were. They wouldn't care if you were gay. They wouldn't care if you were whatever. It's so crazy how the woke left hates Israel, and they love all the places that hate gays, that will throw homosexuals off of buildings, that have misogynistic laws baked into them. Like Israel's the only country in that area that actually has laws that would be in agreement with a lot of the woke values, and yet they hate it. It's the weirdest thing.
I love this comment from Steven saying they act like speaking in a soft, calm manner magically makes you the reasonable one in a room. And that's what she was hired for.
That's why it's great with
Probably.
Jennings, because he usually has them breaking that mask, right? Like you ever see the meme where it's like the smiley face on the mask, but behind is like the clenched face with the tears? That's what it reminds me of.
So Jason is saying, dude, we have politicians in office saying that they want to turn Gaza into a parking lot. Cricket. This is one of the many things that does not make the news. The country has never been consistent. You know, again, I can't disagree with you. I don't disagree. I just don't give a fuck. As bad as this sounds, I just no, but I don't care. At the end of the day, it doesn't. It's not caring is a bad word. I'm sorry.
I think we should more normalize just saying I just don't give a shit. Like, not that you don't care about the people, but like it's just not an important issue. You know what I mean? Because not everything is an important issue to every person.
Like I said, like I had a post go viral last week where all I said, the fact that I don't stand up with Israel does not mean I support Russia. I just care about North America more than I do.
You mean Ukraine?
What goes on overseas? Hey, what did I say?
You said Israel, but you meant Ukraine.
Oh, yeah. But at the same time, no, but the same is because I was going to say the same thing with Israel and Gaza. The fact that I don't stand for Gaza doesn't mean that I automatically support Israel.
You just don't give a shit.
I just don't care because it doesn't change my life on a day-to-day basis. And I see my countrymen and my fellow Americans in the US when I'm here suffer. This to me matters more than what goes on overseas. Stop fucking funding other people's war. I just don't give a fuck. Personally, I don't care. Not my problem. Joe's saying, can we agree that there will be no peace until we
Nico, what's your take on this?
What?
He wants all religions treated as the mental illness that they are.
Oh, well, you know, man, Joe, I always find those type of comments to be hypocritical because the system of law in which you take advantage of, no matter if you're in Canada and the US, we're based on Judeo-Christian values. And you have people from all over the world that want to be in North America because of the way that we treat our people. And just so you know, man, there's studies that came out of Montreal that were showing that the less Christian there is in a society, I'm talking about North America here, I'm not talking about across the world, just to be specific, but they can see the correlation between less and less Christian since the 70s in Canada and the amount of time and money that people spend helping others. The more Christian there is, the more people help each other because this is a value that is pushed by Christianity. So the thing is, I get what you're saying, but at the end of the day, it's easy for you to say that in a country where you're taking advantage or you were lucky enough to live in or to, and where not only can you say it, but the point is that our system of law in North America is based on Judeo-Christian values. So
I actually want to respond to this because so I don't know I haven't talked too much about my sort of religious beliefs, but I grew up quite religious, very Pentecostal. I mean, Nico knows this. Probably around 20, I started to have some serious questions, and I came to the conclusion that for the most part, religion was bunk, and I don't really accept the main narratives. And for a time, I would have said the same things that you're saying here. Like, oh, if and we talked about this with Billboard Chris yesterday, where I would have said, if we could just snap our fingers and get rid of religion right now, the world will be such a much better place. Now, what I've realized since then is even though I don't necessarily believe in sort of the religions, I recognize they play a valuable role in social cohesion and keeping people tethered to a value system. And I think what you see when you see, say, the rise of like absurd, what can only be described as new age religions like transgenderism, is it turns out we're actually hardwired to some sort of a religious belief. So even if we get rid of the religions, the traditional ones, we're just going to pick up new ones. And like I said, I'm officially, I would describe myself as an atheist, although I don't like that term because I do believe there's something more. But I'd far prefer a society that broadly has Christianity as their main religion than transgenderism as their main religion, because the ones that are replacing these are just completely fucked up in a way that Christianity and the traditional ones just are not.
They have a problem with Netanyahu, not Israel. In fact, the people who told me that there is a genocide in Gaza were Jewish. And again, I can understand that if you have a problem with the guy that's running the country, not the people itself. In the same way, I have a problem with Zelensky because he's a fraud and a dictator. Does that mean I hate Ukrainians? No, absolutely not.
Just the women.
In the
just
same
the
way,
just the female Ukrainians.
obviously,
That's a given.
But it's the same thing as saying, you know what? I don't like Trump, so that means I don't like all Americans. I don't like Trudeau, that means I don't like every single Canadian. It's the same thing, right? Of course, you can be against the president or the prime minister, and it has nothing to do with the people. Yeah, on that I agree with you, man. Are we still taking comment? Because man, those are never.
Yeah, let's we're gonna have to start kind of like taking just sort of like the ones more relevant, which is a good thing, because we're getting a ton of them and we love the engagement.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's pause that for now, and we'll go back to the backlog
if that
later.
Yep. Let's see what I wanted to talk about this. Because I made a video about this. It's going viral right now. I knew it would, because it's the type of shit that normally I'm a very big smart. No, but I'm a smart ass. If I find stuff that I can be a smart ass about, I'm gonna do it. Yeah. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about, I want to talk about Elon Musk about two things today. I want to talk about how his Tesla shares are going. I don't know if you saw that, but they crumbled like 40% over the past
month that
or
much?
two.
Wow.
Yeah. I have a video that's supposed to be talking about this, and then I wanted to talk about
and guys,
what happened to X yesterday.
As Nico cues up this video, guys, remember, if you're enjoying the conversation, remember to smash that like button. Share the stream if you're on X or wherever. Maybe throw in a little comment there. Like, these guys know what they're talking about, especially Rob. The other guy is kind of a big giant buffoon, but
that's for the comment about your feelings. You're trying to get back at. There you go, Rob and his feelings, trying to get revenge.
Safe space. Trigger warnings.
But no, I agree, guys. If you literally what Rob is saying is true. If you're enjoying this, like, comment, obviously, but please share. If you're on X, please share the stream, because this is how this is going to continue growing and growing and growing. So yes, and thank you for being here, by the way.
No matter how big we get, we're always going to remember our core group that started with us. So as long as you guys stick with us, we'll be there sticking with you.
So here's a video I found about the explanation.
On one hand, we've been making this point in the commercial break. What did
So just to put it into context, it's about Tesla. I wanted to talk about, because this is trending right now on Google Trend, and Tesla shares are going down the toilet right now. It's something like 40% has been lost over the past couple of months. There's a reason. Stop putting the comments, because it covers the video. That's why I remove it.
Okay.
I'm just going to play the video to give you guys a bit of perspective, but then I'm just going to speak about the irony after that. I want to get your take on this, but this part is so fucking hilarious to me. But yeah, let's check the video.
Investors expect to get for Tesla out of Elon Musk's relationship with the president?
Yeah, so two things going on. One is that Elon Musk has made this hard pivot away from the autos business towards what he calls full self-driving, robo-taxis. That business is very speculative, right? It's not clear when it's going to start to make money, when it's going to start to be real. They do not have a robo-taxi yet. The other thing that's going on is his political
30%.
Sort of antics in Washington is starting to alienate parts of Tesla's customer base. You think of a typical Tesla driver. This is like some upper middle class person who lives in the suburbs and cares about climate change, not necessarily likely to be impressed by like a, pot stirring social media.
That's not a bad point, though.
I mean, no, that's not the reason why I'm saying that this is interesting. I will, you know what? Let me show what I'm talking about, because I did not watch the video, because there's some videos I know they're going to be good, and I want to be surprised at the same time as people. But let me just pull something. Let me pull a video, one of my smart ass videos that I made this morning.
Sure. And
if you want to see those videos, by the way, I just put them on TikTok, or else I get in trouble. So I need to be very sarcastic and at least I find myself funny, which is not necessarily a good thing. But
as long as you do, it's all that matters.
Let me download it. Let me download it, because last time it gives me problems.
You want me to
microphone
get some of these comments while you do that? Or
yeah, go for it. Yeah, go for it before we play that video. Yeah.
All right. So what we were just talking about, we'll just get back to that. Steven says religion isn't the issue. It's people abusing their doctrines for personal gain, but that applies to any belief system, religious or secular. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Well said, brother.
And that's going to happen no matter what your viewpoint is. And that's sort of why I've evolved on this, where I don't think you want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, whether you believe in a religion or not. It's undeniable that sort of that kind of a belief structure, a lot of humans, we just need it. It's this sort of spirituality, that need to have a belief in something more, it's baked into our DNA. And I would say, I would make the argument that that's the thing that makes us human. Like for me, like I said, I'm an atheist, and yet I still feel that spirituality. I still feel that pull. I remember what it was like as a young, a teenager, just being 100% sure that I knew what was going to happen, and I knew how we got here, and that's very comforting. And I've never really gotten over that longing. So I think, it to just say let's get rid of religion, I think is misguided, because I think it really ignores sort of the fundamental anchoring that most religions have, especially like the more traditional ones. Nico, Jason says, Nico is right.
Before you go there, you know what I would say? Having faith that there's no God is the same as having faith. That's your religion. And that's the irony. This is the irony of people that tell me they don't believe in God and they need to eradicate or remove religion. So that means your God is a non-religious one. Yes, like this correct. We believe in something no matter what. We will never be able to explain everything that happens to us. So we have to put faith in something, no matter if it's God, whatever it is. One of the mistakes that people make is believe that God is a white dude with a beard sitting in the cloud. God can be your money. God, Jesus. But but the point is that God could be anything. It could be money, it could be your trans ideology. It could be anything that you put your faith in. So no matter what, there will always be religions, because we put our faith in something that is not us. That's the definition of a religion, bro. So I agree with Jason that it's about dogmatics. This is my problem with religions and even Christianity, when there's a dogma that you're not allowed to question. This is the problem with religion. If somebody tells you cannot question or criticize, that's bullshit. That is bullshit.
Yeah, and
I have the video, but the video, by the way. Yeah. Just to bring it back, this guy Max Chafkin is basically saying that the reason Tesla is losing so much of their share price, about 30 to I saw 40% since last year. Their display was showing 30, so let's assume it's 30 since the beginning of the year. He said that it's a lot because they are talking about the taxi robot, for example, like what's coming up, which it's going to happen. I have no doubt that they're going to do it. They've been trying to plug that for a long time, but I think it's more than that. And that's where he was going with this, is the fact that the people that buy those cars are not happy with the direction of Elon Musk and
left-leaning customer base, for sure.
Yeah. And this is the video. And it's funny because I did not watch this video, and a few hours ago I posted this. So lefties have been damaging Tesla cars because obviously they no longer like Elon Musk. Yet, until recently, these cars were mostly bought by climate change supporters, meaning lefties. Yeah. So basically, lefties are destroying other lefties' cars. But
I mean,
you see what I mean? This is kind of, I was thinking about this morning. I'm like,
so I think there's some of that going on. You're seeing it more dramatic.
Let me remove this. But what were you going to say? Sorry for cutting you off.
No, I was just saying, I mean, you can't argue with it. Like, undoubtedly, left owning a Tesla has historically at least been sort of left-wing coded. And I think it's a bit silly that someone would, make their car purchases decisions based on if they like the owner of the company, but it is a real thing.
That's your right. But that's your right. It's your money.
No, absolutely. That's why I'm saying I think it's that silly, but at the same time, I mean, that's just a fact of life. And I'm kind of surprised. I don't know if Elon Musk just didn't care. I guess he's rich enough, but like it certainly will impact his bottom line in that regard.
But this is the part that I find so funny is that years ago, like a few years ago, if you had a Tesla, you're kind of fruity.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Steven. You're kind of a homo for driving a Tesla, and you'd see the guy with his jacked up truck running on diesel, like fucking fruitcake. And now the same people, but this is what's funny because I was looking into this morning, and you can go to Etsy right now, and there's a bunch of people making stickers saying, I bought my Tesla before Elon Musk went crazy. So they're trying, and other people are putting a Honda sign, a Honda label on the top of their Tesla label. So you know the funniest part is
performative.
But it's funny that it's normally not conservatives that are going to go out and destroy people's properties. But now we're at a point that leftists hate Elon Musk so much that they're destroying cars that don't belong to conservative. They belong to fucking leftists, you stupid idiots. That is fucking hilarious, bro.
That is hilarious.
So let's just let me see. Do you want to finish the video, or you got enough of that guy? Let's see, because I didn't finish it all.
In Europe than in the U.S., but you are seeing it a little bit in the U.S. too, it seems.
Yeah, he's lost, $90 billion year to date. Will Shaker in the control room looking at his wealth for us. $90 billion year to date, which still makes him an incredibly wealthy person. Does he really care that much?
But does he make some of it up on some of the other enterprises? He's getting
my clock on my computer, I just changed it and it froze me. I'll be back in 1 second.
That's fine.
I just got to restart it.
All good, man.
The FAA.
So worth saying, at least I last checked, he's still up since the election. I mean, I think it's no longer this insane increase, probably between 10 and 20% or something. And as you say, he is doing well. He is still wealthy, and he does have these other venues to increase his net worth. We've seen SpaceX's valuation is actually coming up quite a bit.
Okay. Now they're just talking about his other companies. I don't really care about that. But the point in the matter is, and again, I don't think the left has the balls to say it. The reason this is plummeting has nothing to do with the robo-taxi and the what's going to happen. It's the fact that the left is pissed off at Elon Musk and people are getting rid of their cars. And you know what? All the power to them, because it's their fucking money. They can do whatever the fuck they want. But I don't think Elon Musk gives a damn fuck about what they're doing.
And I'll tell you what's interesting there is, like, yes, it's people sort of, it's going to piss off the customer base, but I think it's also that they're probably imagining that this is going to be a trend. You know, people like will have their Teslas destroyed, and that's going to put such a damper on demand for Teslas. Even if you don't care about the politics or anything, if you're like, well, fuck, why would I get a Tesla if it's going to be like highly likely to be targeted by lunatics? So that's going to really hurt demand for Tesla. But I think, he's just so rich, I don't think he gives a shit.
You know, somebody made a comment on one of my posts on Instagram about this, and she said something that was actually funny as hell. She says lefties are accusing conservative of being violent while being violent against other lefties.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's I'm like, oh shit, that's actually pretty damn good. But this is what's happening right now. I just find it ironic that the left, you know, we've spoken about this many times, where is it going to get worse? And you always say something along the lines that we're at a point where it's just a breaking point. Like they're going to become crazier than they were, sorry. Because there's nothing else for them to do. That would mean that they would have to change their whole ideology in order to be able to continue forward without going deeper down that rabbit hole. And I think that's what we're seeing right now, is exactly that.
100%. It's sort of like imagine if you had a spoiled child and you've given them everything they always ask for, and then you decide, okay, I'm going to start saying no. You know they're going to really freak the fuck out. That's exactly what we're doing.
Now, guys, I want to show you something, and I have to put a warning to this right now as to I am no way an expert on this. I've watched hours of videos, and it all started because of a video that Jason from NY Varsity Sports sent me over the weekend. But it's about something that's been called debanking. I don't know if you guys know what the expression is, but it's basically the power given to non-banks or to people that are running banks to debank certain individuals that they do not agree with their political views. For example, GoFundMe, like what happened in Canada during the Freedom Trucker convoy. They had a massive GoFundMe account and GoFundMe froze it. But not only did they freeze it, they kept the money, because that's another good point I never really thought about.
Do they really?
Is that
I didn't know that.
But of course they do.
Jesus.
So basically, there's supposedly, and this is one of the things that I want to continue talking about over the next few weeks, because I'd like to find an expert on this. I'd like to find a lawyer, and especially Horrid Chopra is a guy that I've seen speaking about this a lot. I would love to have him on the show in order to speak about this. So you and I should try to figure out how to get him on the show. But what the next video is by the, you know, the Turkish boys or the Turkish guys. I can't remember what their name. I'm not a big fan of them, but they had a good video on the subject. So it's basically, the next video is about what they call
the Young Turks.
The Young Turks. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
So the video is very interesting. I wanted to run this because as a content creator that does that for a living, I've been demonetized, or they would just won't monetize me at all because of my content. And basically, there's an organization that had put the people that were supposed to be responsible for protecting American consumers have been targeted by DOJ. The department is the CFPB. They have been targeted by DOJ, saying that they are the ones doing the debanking, when it seems that the people that are doing the debanking are massive corporations like GoFundMe, PayPal, Stripe, Venmo, Patreon, YouTube, add whatever other name out there of social media that will demonetize people. But basically, that's what the video is about. I want to run for you guys because it's very, it goes over the subject at a high level. I just want to repeat myself that I am not an expert. It is just, I want to put it into your ear of researching this, because if this is indeed true, and from all the videos and research that I did this morning for a few hours, this seems to be true, because people on the left and people on the right are calling this out. If the Republicans really did this, this is fucked up, and we need to call this out, because this is, how do you censor people? You either prevent them from speaking or you prevent them from making money. This is the two ways that you censor people, and this is fucked. If what we're going to see now is true, we're going to have to speak about it. I just wanted to give a high, I just wanted to give a high level. But again, I'm no expert, but from what the experts are saying, it's we have an interesting debate that seems that's going to be happening. So here's the video by the Young Turks. And
the first watchdog agencies that the Trump administration and Elon targeted was the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Despite previous cries from Republicans and senators over debanking, yesterday the Senate took action that showed they really don't care about that at all. Senate Republicans on Wednesday moved to allow payment apps like Venmo and PayPal to return to ideological debanking, repealing a rule implemented in December by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. The vote on Wednesday afternoon won the support of every Senate Republican who voted, with the exception of Josh Hawley of Missouri, who has regularly broken with his party in support of populist economic policies. The resolution to repeal the rule did not require the typical 60 votes to move forward, meaning Republicans could repeal the debanking rule with just 51 votes and without needing Democratic support. Now the House must pass a companion measure and will track the developments there. But already, Republicans are seeing pushback from within their ranks. Right-wing agitator Laura Loomer posted, "Happening now. Senate Republicans are voting to legalize debanking by voting to remove a CFPB rule that bans payment apps from banning people without cause. I don't want to hear the GOP call themselves the free speech party ever again." She continued.
Yeah, and that woman dangerous. Just to put it. Oh, but Laura, hold on, Laura Loomer. I went to see, because I'm not I don't follow these big accounts. Like I like the news and I like to make my own opinion on those things, but I went to see her timeline on X, and she's indeed very like there's no hiding that she's a conservative in her opinion.
No.
So
she's like a lunatic though in a lot of ways.
That's how I saw it. But at the same time, bro, if she could be a lunatic all she wants, if she's
but you're
good
right
with calling this out, I like it.
We don't really give.
I will
shit who
follow
says
her
something.
now. I will follow her because I don't need to agree with you on everything to say, you know what? If what we're seeing right now is true, this is fucked up, and the people on the left and the right need to start talking about this because this is bullshit. But let's continue the video because the video is good. It's a bit long, but it's really, really well done.
Okay.
Without cause. I don't want to hear the GOP call themselves the free speech party ever again. She continued. Every Senate Republican, with the exception of Josh Hawley, just voted to legalize debanking. Now apps like PayPal can get away with banning you for your political views thanks to Senate Republicans who just voted to repeal a rule that made that illegal in December 2024. To which Elon Musk replied, really? Yes, really. Hopefully you can put an end to this, Elon Musk. The GOP doesn't like the CFPB, and so they are now just opposing everything CFPB has done, including the good things like implementing a law in 2024 that banned payment platforms like PayPal, Stripe, and Venmo from banning people based off their political affiliation. Senate GOP just voted.
You know, we've spoken about those many, many times, and at least I'll speak for myself. As much as I could not agree more with the responsibility of those of looking at every dollar that is spent and analyzing if it's right or wrong, if we should stop or continue it. It's a slippery slope as the power that they have. If you're telling me that an organization or a department that is an entity, let's call it an entity that is supposed to CFPB, if they are supposed to, exactly, the equivalent of the consumer protection in Canada. If their responsibility is to protect people and they had a rule in place from last December, and we're talking 3 months ago here, from last December saying that companies like PayPal, Stripe, Venmo are not allowed to debank people because of their political views, I don't understand how this is even an argument. How is that not bipartisan to say, hey guys, nobody should have the power to debank me because you don't agree with me, especially not faceless corporations like those. If the government needs to respect our free speech, companies like them should be held at a standard too. They shouldn't be allowed to cut my funding the way I feed my family because they don't agree with me. That's bullshit. They shouldn't be allowed to do that.
100%. I mean, even when we talked in depth with some of what Doge was doing, I think we both I think we explicitly singled out the CFPB as something that we didn't necessarily agree with, because the remit with that organization I think is good, but that should be an absolutely nonpartisan issue in every single way. I mean, that really, and me and you should definitely stay on top of this story, because that's right there in the wheelhouse of this show, to be talking about things that should not be partisan but are. And I mean, the idea that there should be no debate. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit if you're a neo-Nazi. I do not believe that we should be, because this thing about like debanking, you're essentially cut off from society. You are not allowed to participate in society anymore. You can't get a job, unless they're willing to pay in cash under the table. You just can't live. So you cannot make people's existence in society contingent on them having the right beliefs. That I don't give a shit what the beliefs are. That's just a hard, firm no in every context.
The thing that I don't like that I'm seeing of all the articles and all the comments that I'm seeing regarding this, and to put it, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. So the things that I keep on saying is that because they don't like the person that ran it, the agency itself is automatically wrong.
Yeah, and
this is where we need to be very careful, because could it be? Yes, could it be that the values of that of that agency is wrong and needs to be revisited, yes. But I do not see if their job, if that's one of the things that they did is to protect consumer from companies being able to debank them. If that's the only thing that they did right, they should continue doing it. This is not something that should be removed. Could it be?
Keep them accountable,
We need
for
to be,
sure. Right.
But we need to be careful that we don't turn Doge doesn't become a hammer and everything that they see are nails. Like we need to be very fucking careful because
Doge should be a scalpel, not a hammer.
That's it, Rob. Let's go back to the video because you're obviously anything else that you're going to say is going to ruin what the intelligence you just displayed. But let's continue.
To legalize debanking,
I definitely
they should kill the companion bill off in the House. Now, I'm not saying Laura Loomer is reflective of a large portion of the Republican Party, but I gotta imagine after all the cries, especially from Republican supporters, Cenk, there might be many people, many voters who are upset by this.
Look, told you. Here's what I mean by that. What I said was, in the past, media was such a monopoly that a lot of times Democrats got their information from one news source, and really it's just mainstream media. So you might have gotten it on MSNBC or CNN or New York Times, but those are all kind of in the same group thing. But for Republicans, it was basically just Fox News and talk radio. And they were always on the same message. It was Hannity on the radio, Hannity on TV, right? And whenever I talked to Republicans, they would always regurgitate the talking points on Fox News or by Rush Limbaugh every single time. And there was no variety, they never broke lines, etc. Now they have all sorts of media. They've got Laura Loomer over here and Charlie Kirk over there and Steve Bannon over there and Tucker over here and Patrick Bet-David and Tim Pool. And are they on the same page on a lot of issues? Yes. Are they on different pages from time to time? Oh yeah, right.
And I'm really not a fan of this guy. Like I think he's mostly full of shit. Just he's as bad as the left. He's as bad as the right that he's making fun of because he's always bashing on other people. So I had enough of what he's saying, but not enough that I can't agree with what he just said. For the longest time, the only people that most conservative or Republicans would listen to were the big names, like the big names that were on Fox. And now that there's kind of been a split from the Fox News only, like having a Tucker leave, it fucking opened the door to,
and that's been great for the right.
But that's what I'm going to say is that I agree with him with that, but he needs to be less biased in his opinion and realize that the next thing that needs to happen is the same thing to the left. Because we haven't seen that yet. So having like a Joy Reid being thrown out of her job at MSNBC could potentially be good for the left because she might have to start talking about the real things and start calling up. I'm not saying that she will. That is not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying, it could open the door to them starting to criticize their own party because they're no longer under the banner that controls their speech. Because obviously, if you're on Fox, you're going to be biased because the people signing your paycheck want you to be biased. They're mainstream media. They have an agenda. They have their own message. But this is the beautiful thing about social media is that you have girls like Laura Loomer, which most of the time you might disagree with her. But the fact that she has the audacity to call out the Republicans on what they're doing, because God knows that she's probably been defunded or debanked before, considering she just on X, she's above 1.5 or 2 million followers, if I remember correctly. So she has a massive platform. So you know that she's faced this. And I like the fact that she has the courage to say, no, we don't get to do that to them. Like, no, we were against this. It was repealed in March, in December. We don't get to put it back. We don't, because what's to say that they're not going to go after her next?
And that's
the problem.
That's
same
why
thing
you
with hate
need
speech,
to
right?
Right? Yes.
But it's the same thing with hate speech. Who gets to control hate speech? Who gets to control who gets debanked? Because if you can't criticize Israel, I don't see the difference between me not being able to criticize Palestine. You know what I'm saying? Like the ideology is different, but the way you put your power in place are the same tactics. It doesn't. We don't get to do that. We need to be very careful. So you and I need to keep a look on this one, keep an eye on this one, and make sure that we talk about it. But it's just, guys, I just wanted to open the door because I've watched hours of this and I'm just fucking confused. How the fuck is this happening? Like, how the fuck does that make sense? I don't get it. So I know I don't have all the information, but I just wanted to open the door to you guys out there. Thanks again, Jason. But keep an eye on this one. Go check what the CFPB is supposed to be doing and how they're supposed to protect consumers. And it seems that because people like Laura Loomer spoke about it, it seems that they're slowing down their destroying of the CFPB. So you know, we have a lot of power as content creators. So never be scared to talk about this stuff, but do your research, and you're gonna have to do research on this one just like I have.
Yeah,
I have a lot of research to do too.
So a couple things on what you just said. Laura Loomer. I mean, I've been sort of not following her, but aware of her for a couple of years now. She's definitely a bit of a lunatic, we'll say, to be friendly or to be kind.
The last name is Loomer.
Yeah. But that said, at this show, you know, as we keep saying again, we don't give a shit who says it. You know, we're gonna assess every single statement on its merits, and what she's saying there is absolutely correct, because as you said, it will be used against you at some point, even if it's not being used against you right now. And we just don't want to be in that society where we allow people to participate in society or not based on their beliefs, whatever those beliefs are. That is not a good way to live, and there's danger in there for all of us.
Free speech. That's all that matters to me, first and foremost.
Absolutely. Steven, so the left is pushing more and more people away. That they've insisted even to disagree with their ideology makes you a bigot, so their leaders can't change course or they'll be burned at the stake. And he follows up with, the ship just has to sink and the left will rebuild a new ship, and that could take years. I couldn't agree with you more, and that's like right in my wheelhouse. I'm not gonna, you know, like, so me and Nico both have side projects. Mine one is, if you want to check out on X at @the_alt_left. Exactly what I'm trying to do here is, you know, I don't talk about too much on the show because this is obviously my main priority. But essentially, I'm trying to reform the left, not even reform it because it's unreformable. Start a new left, essentially, or pick up. I have a belief that a schism has occurred within the left over the last couple of years. I call it the alt left for lack of a better term. But I think there's millions of us that are in it, even if we just don't know it. So yeah, if you want to check that out and you agree with it, just you can follow me over there.
It's actually funny because if you go back to that message, I love the undertone of Christianity in there. I'm sure it wasn't done on purpose, but rebuild a ship. So we should call you Noah. I'm gonna start calling you Noah, Stephen.
Actually, it's good. Yeah, it works. It's a good analogy.
But that's what I'm saying. But it's true, right? At one point, just like in the Bible says in Genesis, the world was so fucked that God is like, we're going to keep a few, kill everybody else, and we have to restart. We have to press reset somewhere. So that's what the left, and I agree, but I think that's what the left needs to do because they're so fucked right now. Although I hope you guys don't have to kill a bunch of you guys. But
yeah, just a few.
I hope it doesn't get,
just a few, and the rest will fall in line.
Yeah, no, YouTube, that is not true.
Yes,
Rob
it
does not
actually
mean that. That was entertainment purposes. Rob's an idiot. Don't listen to this. He's been dropped on his head multiple times.
Yeah, it's happened a lot. Nico was right again. Here he is, just fondling Nico's balls again.
You know, Jason's under my desk right now.
Oh yeah,
if I go like
he's
this,
he's tweeting. He's just tweeting from under there. Pepper grinding.
Oh, it's not that big. I'm white, bro. It's not that big. I like this. I like it. Thank you, but no.
Yeah,
no.
Appreciate that. Nico is right again. You can't be on social media posting Trump gotcha moments 19 times a day all the way to 2028. You would go nuts. And if Vance wins, there'll be psychological. I mean, I think Vance is going to win.
It's not an if. Vance will need to fuck up really bad, and I don't see it happening. I think
my
he's just
prediction
get
for
better and
2028
better
is
and better.
Vance versus Newsom, and Vance is gonna mop the floor with him. I just don't see it. I'd like to see Fetterman. I'd love to see Fetterman, but I just don't.
I don't see it happening.
Elon should know better on this free expression thing. He literally bought his social
Couldn't
media.
agree with you more.
Yeah,
couldn't agree with you more.
You can't.
But Hold on. That's the thing. Thank you for bringing that up, Jason, and I'm sorry for cutting you off. But one of the videos that I saw was explaining how, I don't know if you know this, but do you know that Elon Musk bought X? Like X is something that he had in mind for a long, long time. And it's about a banking system. He wants to put a banking system in place. And a lot of people are saying that he's going to use X, the social media platform, to implement a banking system behind it based on X. So you have your profile, you can have a bank profile, you can have a social media profile. And a lot of those videos, I did not show that on purpose because I don't have enough information. I would need to research it more. But there's a lot of people out there that are saying that the reason X or Elon Musk is okay with destroying the CFPB is because he has a banking system in place. And if there is a banking system, so imagine that you have X that's attached to a banking system where your money is, and he's capable of debanking you. I'm not saying that this is the case, but if that is true, if that's the type of power that he would have,
I feel like
what's preventing him?
I'm going to throw that on because.
But what's preventing him from doing this? And this is why some of the people are saying, because Jason is saying right now that Elon Musk should know better on his free speech expression thing. He literally bought a social media network over this. But how brilliant would that, okay, before I say that, I'll put it. How brilliant would it be for Elon Musk to buy a platform preaching free speech in order to destroy one of the entities that protects consumer financially while he's implementing a bank that will give him the power to debank people?
And we're obviously not saying he's doing that, and that's why we were in the hatch. But if he is, let's just say for a second, let's say if he is, that makes this completely different, and this makes it quite scary, actually. If you want to do all of that, Elon, with your banking, I think it's a great idea. Go through the free market like everyone else, and do it that way. Do not cripple the CFPB or anybody just to sneak your, because I don't like that whatsoever. But I think what some people on the right maybe should keep in mind. As you said, there's been a sort of a splintering of the right-wing media ecosystem. And I think that is, from my perspective as a lefty, I see the right as a lot healthier. It seems a lot, it's the left that's
because of that discourse, because there's a discourse within the rights, within the monopoly, the right and the conservative. Yep.
Exactly. And so, but it's important to remember that there is still that sort of big business 1% sort of Scrooge McDuck monopoly guy force within the right, and they are going to try to influence things where they can. So it's important not to let them sneak in under the populist banner of the new right and then just go about doing the same sorts of things.
That's why I'm not, as much as I call myself a righty, I'm not a real righty. I'm righty of center. If I call myself a righty, it's because I'm right of center. You're not a real lefty either. You're left of center. But this is, I just want to make sure that this is why I will always praise people that are right and shit on people that are wrong, no matter who the fucking party is, because I don't believe in tribalism.
No,
I don't believe in it at all. And if this is true, and I'm not saying that everything that I said is true or that even the Young Turks were right, but from what I've seen this repeated by people on the right, like Laura Loomer.
It makes sense.
People on the left. This is fucked. I don't understand why. And there was a guy, I can't remember. I was trying to find just a snippet, but the video is 3.5 long. It's a Joe Rogan podcast, but there was a guy that went on Joe Rogan not too long ago to speak about this, and he was for destroying the CFPB, yet it seems that he is somebody that has a lot of money.
Yeah,
that is kind of, it would work. It's Mark Andreessen. If you want to watch, it was published about 3 months ago, actually. It's episode 2234 from the Joe Rogan Experience, a guy called Mark Andreessen. All the videos I've seen that were independent videos had nothing to do with each other, except that they were talking about what Doge is doing. They all referenced to him saying, this guy is lying. And Joe Rogan did not call him out on it because he did not know better. So some of them were making fun of him because, oh, they didn't call him out. But if he would have said that in front of me, I wouldn't have known either. This is the dangerous portion of podcasts. And that's why from the beginning, I said, I'm no expert. There's a lot more information that I would need to get through in order to feel comfortable speaking about this. I just wanted to show you that just open your eyes to this. Keep on listening to what's going on, because this is
we're going to follow it.
100%, 100%. There's another thing I wanted to talk about, two other things. I don't know that we have the time, unfortunately. I wanted to talk about Thomas Massie and what Trump tweeted yesterday, which I didn't, you know what, let's just take a couple minutes to talk about it, because this is another thing I don't like this. I really don't like this. So there you go. So just so you guys know, Thomas Massie is he's a member of the Republican Party. Obviously, he's a congressman for where was it? It wasn't Kentucky. If I remember correctly, he is a representative for Kentucky, but he is a Republican. And they're trying to pass a bill to keep Congress open. They have until Friday to do it. It's kind to fund the next 6 months of what the Republicans are doing. But basically, Trump, if you're looking at your screen right now, I believe that wasn't a tweet. It was on Truth Social. But he basically is saying that because Thomas Massie of Kentucky, so that's what I thought, said no to his resolution, Trump said that he should be primaried, and I will lead the charge against him. This is a problem to me. Like, this is a very big problem to me. It is healthy to have people within your own party calling you out on stuff if they don't agree with you. And I researched who Thomas Massie is, and he's one of the only Republicans that was standing up during the COVID lockdowns that still wanted Congress to be operating, saying that we still need to continue this. It's not because it's mostly empty chairs around here that we just need to close off and stop doing your job. So I don't know. Again, I don't know enough about Thomas Massie to praise him. I just wanted to point out that Donald Trump put that on Truth Social, saying that because there's a congressman by the name of Thomas Massie that did not agree with him, that voted no on his resolution, that he should be primaried. I don't agree with that. It's not because he disagrees with you that he shouldn't be congressman anymore. Are you kidding me? Congressmen do represent their people in Congress. If he thinks that's the best thing for Kentucky, that's his job, bro. Like, come on. Like, are you serious? You can't call for canceling people, because again, that's what the woke has done to us for 4 fucking years. We don't get to do that to people because they don't agree with us now that we're in power. It's fucking bullshit. We can't stand for this.
Yeah,
I cannot back this up. I just can't.
For me, like, it's not, it's more, I view that issue more as like your wheelhouse, like you as a righty, cleaning house.
Yep.
I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't care particularly each one of them, but it's interesting to me because remember we've talked about how our leaders need to deal with Trump. I think it reinforces the idea that, like, he deals with politics on the personal. He will he will do like global geopolitics, sign massive deals based on if he personally likes the guy that he's dealing with. So, I don't particularly think that's how a world leader should behave, but the fact is, it is what it is, and you need to adjust to it. And I suspect it wasn't really about what Massie not supporting the resolution. I'm sure there's some personal beef Trump has with Massie somewhere.
Good point. That's a good point. All I'm going to say is, like I said before, this does not sound good. Again, we're going to hear about this. This is just something that came up yesterday, and I'm looking at the top stories right now, and they're like developing. There's still stuff from 2 hours ago. So since we've been on the show, there's development on that story. So same thing with Mahmoud Khalil, same thing with the CFPB. All I wanted to do is to put it into your ears, and you guys can continue looking at this because I know I will. But I don't like that post. I don't like that because he said no to what you thought he should say yes to. He gets to lose his, like, he should not be congressman anymore. Sorry, bro, but it's not about you. It's about his. He's representing his people, and if his people voted for him, as much as you might not agree with him, like I don't agree with a lot of the people on the left, that doesn't mean they should be. I don't think that AOC should be canceled because she's a moron. If people keep on voting for her, no, but if people keep on voting for her, people in New York vote for her, you're going to have to pay the price at one point. But that is your, don't get to complain like California that your state is destroyed because you voted for this shit, right?
Yep. And actually just something we just said, sort of like you wanted to put the bug out there. That actually just kind of made me think of something. When we talked about the debanking story, you had mentioned Jason was the one who had sent you that. I just want to put out there, guys, if you have any stories that you want us to talk about, by all means, hit us up in the DMs, me or Nico, 100%. Or just the show, because we're always looking for that sort of stuff. We wanted to talk about what our audience wants to hear. And there's a good chance that we'll of course, we'll talk about it. And of course, we'll, do a shout out to you as well. So keep that in mind. If there is something specific you want, then, it'll, I know Nico spends a lot of time every morning. We both do, but Nico spends the most for sure, coming up with topics and stuff. So, I mean, you'll help us out if you throw something our way that maybe we haven't seen. And kudos to Jason. Thanks for that, by the way.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree with you more, man. Well said. Absolutely. If there's no way that we are capable of being aware of everything that goes on. So getting help from you people is always a great thing.
Whoa. You people.
The blacks and the gays and whatever is out there.
The trans and the blacks and the gays.
No, it's just I'm making fun of Steven because he did mention that he was gay. So when I'm saying you people, I'm making fun of Jason and Steven.
Yes, of course.
So you guys know.
I'm sliding that in there.
I'm an asshole, bro. I'm French. I love the penis and I'm an asshole, right? So,
oh, yeah. I think we've cultivated a good vibe here. Everyone kind of gets that we all that's how we show affection here, kind of chirping.
Yeah, by chirping. That's what men normally do. We chirp each other, right?
Yep.
There's one other thing I wanted to talk about, and hopefully we have the time to go through the video I got, but there've been fucking idiot, Jason. Wait, I thought Steven's husband was
I'm not
gay.
My boyfriend is.
So Steven's the straight guy in that gay couple. I get it.
Yes, of course.
So he's the Big Bob. So we're gonna start calling you Big Bob then. You remember Big Bob, right, Rob?
Which one?
Big Bob is the jailer from Harold and Kumar Escape Guantanamo Bay. And he's suck, you guys disgust me. You gotta suck a penis. What are you saying? Getting your dick sucked is not gay. That's where the whole conversation.
If you're sucking it.
The whole conversation with Jason from 6 weeks ago started because we were talking about Big Bob. So maybe we'll start calling Steven Big Bob.
But yeah,
you're the one going down.
You're the one who's
that's
gay.
it. Yeah, exactly. There's a video I wanted to talk about because this is something I've been speaking ever since it happened. It's about Derek Chauvin. So the guy that supposedly murdered George Floyd. Now he's back in the news because Ben Shapiro last week said that he believes that Trump should pardon him. If you heard about this, just so you know, before I play the video, just so you know, and this is what I was telling Rob this morning, Derek Chauvin right now is in a federal prison, but he was also convicted on the state level. He has 2 concurrent sentences.
Okay.
So even if Trump could pardon him, but he can only pardon the federal level. And the DA that convicted him already said that if that's what was going to happen, if Trump pardoned him, they'll just move him to a state prison where he's going to have to continue his term. So no matter what,
federal's probably better. I've heard that federal prisons are.
That's what people said. I've never been in prison.
Yeah, if anyone
so I don't know.
If anyone knows, let us know. I'd always heard.
But it's funny you say that because those are the comments I was reading about this too. So
Chauvin might be up there like, no, don't do it. Trump, don't do it.
Yeah. He's been attacked multiple times, right? He's been stabbed really bad recently where he almost died. So I want to play this video and then I'm going to give a bit of my opinion on this, but I'm telling you, it's a good way to finish the episode because I'll piss people off.
Okay.
So it's kind of what I do, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's your wheelhouse.
So the video, yeah.
Far-right Republicans have a new cause in their so-called war on woke. Take a listen to conservative podcast host Ben Shapiro.
Oh, there you go.
Just this week.
If we are issuing pardons, however, there is one person that President Trump should pardon from federal charges forthwith. That person is Derek Chauvin. President Trump should, in fact, pardon Derek Chauvin.
Okay, so Shapiro is urging Donald Trump to pardon Derek Chauvin. This is the former Minneapolis police officer who was convicted by state and federal juries in the 2020 killing of George Floyd. Donald Trump's right-hand man, Elon Musk, amplified the idea, saying this is, quote, something to think about. Now, I will note that the president was asked about this in the Oval Office on Friday. And now one of the headlines in the story is wrong. It said President Trump said Friday he's not considering pardoning Derek Chauvin. But that's not true. What Donald Trump said is, a reporter asked him if he was considering it, noting your allies are calling on you to pardon Derek Chauvin. Donald Trump's response was, no, I haven't even heard about it. The president responded, no, I haven't heard about it. That to me is code for, I don't know what they're talking about, but it could get on my desk and I could do it.
Well, the other part of that is you're.
I love how she just because he said he didn't hear about it. Oh, that's probably because he's about to sign it. Like, oh, fuck off.
Yeah, they take everything Biden says at face value and everything Trump says, like it's just assumed to be the worst case scenario.
By the way, this is supposedly who replaced Joy Reid. That panel right here.
I thought that was Joy Reid.
Ouch. Let's get out.
You're asking yourself, so why the hell would we want to pardon a guy whom we watched murder a man and was duly convicted at the state and federal level? You have this idea shortly after the video of George Floyd's death went viral in May of 2020. This pundit pointed to video of the incident to dismiss the argument that Floyd was resisting arrest. It's really ugly and really bad, and he said, adding that Chauvin should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. What a difference 5 years makes. Now Shapiro claims that Chauvin's trial was a farce and that his conviction represents the defining achievement of the woke movement in America. So he's got.
This is one thing, man, I dislike when people do that. You don't get to change your opinion because he said 5 years ago that he believed that Derek Chauvin should be in prison and he should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. He doesn't get to change his opinion 5 years later. And agree with Ben Shapiro or not, I understand why he believed at the beginning that Derek Chauvin was responsible for George Floyd's death. But if you guys go back to this and don't need to, you can shoot the messenger all you want. Go back to what the original examiner said of the body and the doctor, the emergency doctor that received George Floyd's body. They said the same thing. George Floyd died of a fentanyl overdose, which is why he was not able to breathe. That's why he keeps saying, I can't breathe, because that is one of the side effects of a fucking fentanyl overdose. And I can tell you that as a guy that's done martial arts, that's done a lot of jiu-jitsu, the position that Derek Chauvin had him in, the knee across the shoulder / neck, doesn't kill anybody. I've been in that fucking situation many times, and understand also that Chauvin is like a midget. He's like 5'7". And George Floyd's a monster. I don't know if you guys knew this, but that was a big boy. Like he's an old basketball player. He's like 6'4". He's a big guy. So that knee, was it uncomfortable? Fuck yeah, it probably was. His face is on the fucking side, is on cement or is on the asphalt. So of course it's not comfortable. But to say that he killed him is bullshit. It's not true. Even the doctor, the original examiner and the emergency doctor both said that it wasn't. And if you go back to what the jury said afterwards on camera, they did not convict Derek Chauvin because of murder. They convicted him because he didn't do enough. So it's bullshit. Like, but that's what the jury said, and you can go back to that. We all know that this was politically driven. Derek Chauvin, just like the two other officers that I'm pretty sure one was black and another one I think is Asian, were thrown under the bus on that one. So should that be reopened? 100%. That should be reopened. And you know that the original DA that prosecuted Chauvin, somebody that was part of the DA team, a lawyer, she stopped. She's like, no, we're not looking at this objectively. I cannot be part of this. And she started her own organization in order to help Derek Chauvin. So I'm just saying that this was never treated the way it should have been. And don't forget, that's what BLM based their whole fucking platform on. They used George Floyd dying from the get-go. But let's not forget that that guy has been in prison multiple times, has assaulted women in the past. We're not talking about a good guy here. And I'm not saying Derek Chauvin is a good guy either, because supposedly he does not have a good sheet as a police officer.
What was his sentence? What did he get?
25 years. It's 22 to 25 years. He's in prison basically for a very fucking long time. But the point is that, was Derek Chauvin a good guy? Nah, I don't think so. I think he was pretty much an asshole. George Floyd was not a good guy. He was a criminal. He was an asshole too. Does that mean that he deserved to die? Fuck no, he does not. That is not what I'm saying. But he did ingest a bunch of fentanyl when he was arrested, and that is what the original examiner and the original doctor that saw him at the emergency room both said that he died of fentanyl overdose because he couldn't breathe, not because of the knee. So like Derek Chauvin or not, like George Floyd or not, base your opinion on the truth. And that's all I could ask in this case. And again, Trump cannot pardon him. Only the state of Minnesota could. It's not going to happen.
Is that Tim Walz?
I'm pretty sure that it is Timmy Tampon that's still there.
Probably not. So probably not. I mean, I don't have a strong opinion on this. I didn't really follow it that much. It was never like a galvanizing thing.
It is in Minnesota. It is in Minnesota. So it would be Timmy Tampon would be responsible for pardoning him. It ain't gonna happen.
I think two things can be true. You might believe that he deserves to be in prison, but also understand that he also had no chance in terms of just the political climate of it was such that there's no way he was ever going to get anything other than a conviction and a long prison term. What's the video? Didn't he kneeled on him for like what, a long time, right? Like
9 minutes. 9 minutes.
I certainly wouldn't be out advocating for him to be released or anything, but I wouldn't be infuriated if they wanted. I definitely don't think they should pardon him or let him out. Maybe a retrial and try to get a neutral jury. And I don't know enough about the trial to know if that. So yeah, I don't really have an opinion one way or the other. But one thing I know for sure, he had no chance. That was always going to be a conviction. That doesn't mean it wasn't deserved. It very well might be, but at the same time, it absolutely was predetermined for sure. Just based on political climate. They
really painted George Floyd as an innocent man.
I thought that was stupid.
An outstanding citizen, yet you look at his rap sheet, you're like, he's got
honors, like statues honoring him. Like, okay, I do not believe he deserved to die for sure, but that doesn't mean you got to pick your heroes a little better if you're the left.
Daniel Penny against Jordan Neely, same situation.
Now that one, I strongly believe that Penny should not have been charged at all. That was ridiculous.
100%, because he did nothing wrong. Nothing.
And the same people want to crucify him. There'll be another video. Remember the homeless woman who was lit on fire in New York City, sleeping on a subway.
No comments.
The same people are saying, where was all the help? Where's all the men?
Yeah.
Well, who's going to speak up? Who's going to help when you're charging, people with attempted murder for being in a highly kinetic situation? And sometimes people die, especially when their bodies are racked with drugs and they're not healthy. I don't think Penny did anything wrong. I think he's a hero, to be honest. I do not believe
I agree. I'm sorry. I completely agree. But I'm not saying that Derek Chauvin is a hero. I'm not comparing.
No, understood.
No. I just want to make sure. Daniel Penny is a fucking hero.
Yeah.
Derek Chauvin was an asshole, but so was George Floyd.
Yeah.
The thing I'm saying is that in my opinion, should he be pardoned by what I've seen from the trial and how people treated him? 100%, because it was bullshit. He was let out to dry. They fucking crucified him.
He had no chance.
But and I'm happy for you to say this, because this is what I've been saying for 4 years. Love the guy or not, he does not deserve to be in prison right now. Now, should he be retrialed like a fair trial? That I would love to see it. I would absolutely love to see it, but it's not going to happen. He's lost every single demand that he's tried. His lawyers have been trying ever since he got convicted, and they always get shut down. So,
yeah.
But again, don't forget that even if Trump pardoned him, even if he would, I don't see why he would, because it has no impact whatsoever. They're just going to move him to state, or maybe he's going to pardon him on the federal level so that it makes a stir in the public, because Trump's very good at doing that.
But if they
doing
did that,
stuff to move, yeah, but that's going to reopen.
Minnesota would come hard on him, I think. To like,
no, but that's okay. But that's okay, because if the point is to show Minnesota as being a place that is not based on common sense, that could be a political war that
Chauvin might have an issue with that. The epitome of being used as a political football.
But, and been used from the left, and now from the right. Yeah.
Dude should just change his name to Pigskin, because he has just been used as a football from day one. And I broadly, like, at no point have I ever thought that it was a giant injustice. I really haven't looked at it deeply enough to form a strong opinion.
I started creating content around that time. Yeah. So I really, really was paying attention. And it's just, to me, it's all about being fair. You cannot convict someone because you don't like them personally. There's a difference. Now, should he face consequences for his actions? Probably. There's probably something.
I think there definitely should have been jail time of some sort, for sure.
But it's not only that. No, the knee is one. The knee, I'm telling you, the knee did not kill him. I'm telling you, I've been in that situation before. It's not going to kill you. But based on his past, because from what I remember correctly, he's been in trouble before for not being
Jason,
police officers.
So Chauvin was not, I assume, not a hero. 18 brutality complaints.
That's my point. But the point that what I did not like about this is George Floyd was a criminal that's done really nasty shit. Chauvin was not the best of police officers, obviously, but that doesn't mean that George Floyd was a hero. That doesn't mean Chauvin is a hero, but he should be allowed to have a fair trial, which I think we can both agree he never did.
I mean, that's I didn't follow the trial enough to know if it was a fair trial or not. But I think even if the trial itself was conducted fairly, I just think that the moment of that story, there's no way you could sequester a jury to, like, it's just it was just such a huge part of the culture. You'd have to have a jury from, like, fucking, Mongolia or something in order to get a jury who wasn't tainted. And I just think like I said, even if it was conducted perfectly fairly, the conviction was preordained.
And Jason, you and I are going to disagree on that one, but you're saying that if anyone believes that absence of that incident, Floyd would have dropped dead from the fentanyl, is not looking at this from an objective.
No, I don't think that's true. Like,
actually,
that'd be such a huge coincidence.
But actually, if it wasn't for that incident, it is true that Floyd wouldn't have died. You know why? Because he wouldn't have consumed the fentanyl that he overdosed on. The only reason he consumed all of that fentanyl is because when he got arrested, he tried to get rid of the evidence.
Oh, did he?
And
I didn't know that.
Yes, of
I
course,
didn't know that.
because you have to go dig into the court files to know about this, because even the original examiner has admitted to the DA I was telling you about, that I cannot remember what her name is, that she left the DA's office afterwards. She said that he changed his opinion because of public opinion. He did not want to get crucified. So although that he originally said the reason, they backtracked afterwards. And that's the point. This is the thing. Again, I don't believe that Chauvin is a great guy, but does that mean that the way you feel about someone, he doesn't deserve a fair trial? That's bullshit. He deserves a fair trial.
Jason, I have a question. So I would definitely agree with you. And even as Nico said, like it was, you can't separate the two. But let's just say hypothetically he didn't swallow the fentanyl. I think if you look at the Daniel Penny situation, the guy who he killed, or who was killed, he would not have died if there wasn't that incident, right? But at some point, like, to what extent do you consider like the fact that a healthy person would not have been killed by what Penny did? I believe he behaved in a normal way, that just, he used a minimum amount of force to de-escalate the situation. But the guy died because his body was just so weak and racked with, drug use. Like, is that Penny's fault? I don't like, there's a lot to it, to both of these cases. Although in Daniel Penny's case, I think it's much more clear that there was no wrongdoing whatsoever.
And that is the point I'm making as well. But like Derek Chauvin or not, he never got a fair trial. And I don't think anybody can argue that. If you don't agree, if you think that he had a fair trial, you need to look at the lens from 4 years ago, because it was not. We are not living in the same climate right now.
Penny was different because that guy was still alive for 30 minutes. I didn't know that either. That's crazy. How the fuck was he charged? Just pure politics. Pure politics.
Because again, as a guy that's done a lot of jiu-jitsu, his rear naked choke was so bad. So bad. Like, he wasn't even applying pressure properly. That guy's not a trained jiu-jitsu.
No, exactly, right? It's a kinetic situation.
I would have choked that guy out in about 3 seconds flat. That guy would have been sleeping and he would have been fine. I would have rolled him up on his side, cuffed him, or held him in a position until the police shows up. But Penny did not know what he was doing. He just action took him, prevented him from moving. And again, as you said, it's not what killed him.
No. Yeah. And like Penny's, it's a dynamic situation. It's unfortunate. But at the same time,
we'll leave it on that though.
Wow.
Sorry, because we're going overboard here. But
they did not do CPR for fear of AIDS. Wow, I can't believe they charged Penny. That's insane.
But again, this proves my point. Can you imagine if this is true in a case that clear that this is what happened to Penny? Is it that hard to believe that the same thing happened to Chauvin? And I'm not saying the situation is the same. What I'm saying that they did not do what they were supposed to do, because Penny had to fight this for more than a year. I covered the whole thing. It was fucking long. He had to deal with a lot of bullshit. Yet in a clear-cut case like Penny, it was hard.
Still tried to railroad him.
Innocent. Don't tell me that in a case where Derek Chauvin did wrong, but so did George Floyd, that he had a fair trial, because he didn't.
It certainly leads legitimacy to the argument that he didn't have a fair trial. If you see this going on with Penny, but again, you can two things can be true. You could not have a fair trial, and he could still be guilty. But at the end of the day, every citizen has a right to a fair trial. And if it could be proven that the trial wasn't fair, regardless of how else you feel about it, I think you have to seriously consider maybe at the end of the day, like, another trial. If he's guilty, he'll be found guilty again. I would imagine.
Again, Jason, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, because I can talk about this for 10 hours, but Chauvin leaned on the man's neck because he could. He stared into the camera.
Stared right into the camera.
His whole ass. Listen, again,
he was on a power trip. He was on a power trip, no doubt.
But I can tell you, 5'7", about 160 pounds, compared to a 6'4" guy that weighed at least 230, 240 pounds. He did not kill him. Now, again, did he do the right thing? No, he didn't. But that doesn't mean that he should be in prison, or at least that doesn't mean that he shouldn't be allowed to a fair trial. That's all I'm saying. He should be allowed to go to have a fair trial. If he ends up going to jail again, you know what? Sorry, bro. It is what it is. But he should be allowed to have a fair trial, and nobody in their right mind can say that trial was not, that he wasn't crucified on the public place way before that trial took place.
And can I just say, before we shut this down, the fact that we can have this debate like we're doing right now, I think is like exactly what we wanted to do with this show again, like from the get-go, because this is literally the epitome of the high emotion debate, right? This is the kind of thing. It's going to be very hard to find two people at opposing ends who do it without being, making it personal, without anger and personal attacks, and the way that we were able to do that here, I think, it just shows sort of exactly what we wanted to do with this show is we're actually doing it. So it's good to see that.
So thank Jason for giving your opinion, even if you're wrong. Thank you very much, so that you can
he'll be here tomorrow.
But so that he can drive that conversation, because I agree with you 1,000%. The whole point is to be able to have those conversations, especially the ones we don't agree with.
And that's that's as high emotion as you're going to get, right?
Yeah. Okay, let's finish on this because Stephen took the time to write it. Innocent until proven guilty is crucial. Couldn't agree with you more. We can't let the court of public opinion influence
100%.
law. And you cannot, and you have to agree that that was not the case. We let the court of public opinion actually crucify him before he got crucify is not a good word because he was no saint. He was no Jesus. So the public opinion was already influenced the decision. Nobody can
and that's the thing, is like, you could look at, let's say you go through the trial transcripts, and you could say, no, this trial was conducted perfectly fairly. That's not really what we're talking about, because the thing that made it not really fair had nothing to do with how the trial was conducted. It was just the moment and the time and the place and the emotion of everything about that moment that sort of predetermined it.
And you know what, Jason, bro, that is a good call, because I have been in that situation before where I have helped people that couldn't defend themselves. Luckily enough, it was before the time of everybody had a smartphone in their pocket and could record everything, just like Penny. But he's absolutely right. I excelled with grace and pleasure when Penny was acquitted. That could have been Nico, and you're right. To this day, bro, there's nothing, no matter what happens to the people that help others, I have to help others. If I have the skills to help somebody that cannot defend themselves, I will always be the first one to help. You're right, bro. That could be me one day. You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
fuck
that's
you
great
for even bringing that up, putting that type of energy out there. Fuck you, Jason.
Yeah, you're like, I want to be mad at you. we're trying to have a debate here, Jason. Jesus.
Yeah, no, I'm saying he's putting that energy out there. That could have been Nico.
Oh, yeah, that karma.
Don't bring that type of karma to me, bro. On that note, I think we're done.
Yeah.
We're 15 minutes
Went
past,
a little bit
guys.
overboard, but
yeah, but I think it was worth it. We covered all our subjects. I think.
Yeah.
Virtual high five, bro. I think it's the first time. Cling. So, guys, thank you for being there. Thank you for being with us the whole time. And you have no idea how much we appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for all the comments. We did a recording yesterday without the live, and it was so weird.
It was not the same.
No. So we feed off of your energy.
The energy is
thanks for being here, guys.
The energy is completely different. It just feels like a couple of guys sitting around and talking to their computers. At least here, we know we've got our audience. We're engaged, and we can't tell you enough how much we appreciate you guys. And it's pretty cool. We're starting to build a little community here, which has always been the point. So Jason will be with us tomorrow, as he is always here on Wednesdays. So I'm sure we'll carry some of this over tomorrow. And then, like we said earlier, if you guys have any discussions you want us to talk about, any topics, hit us up on. You can follow me if you're not already at Rob_the Builder. You can follow Nico at the real. Is it real or the real?
The real would have been so cocky.
Real
Nico. No, I'm not that cool. I would have probably spelled
the
it
Ohio State University.
The real Nico Lagan. No, at real Nico Lagan. Make sure to follow the Political Orphans. But other thing, guys, please share this. If you see the live and you support us, you want to support us, share it on your X, share it on your account so that people that follow you can see them.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Love you, bro.
Jason, we'll see you tomorrow, brother. All right, guys. Well, have a good one. We'll catch you tomorrow.